Day and happy first meeting to our newest trustee, Mr. Myers. And I'm going to call this meeting to order and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance. We held the good stuff for you. Sorry, whoa. Let me try to be quite so loud. All right. First item is review of the agenda. Trustees, does anyone have any changes to the agenda or? No? All right, we'll move on to recognitions, the best part of any school board meeting. And we'll start with the MPTF and NEA Awards for Teaching Excellence. This looks good.
Kellen's fan club just showed.
Yeah.
We're glad you made it.
I was not going to start without them.
I would have jumped in ahead of you.
I'm so proud to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Kellen Alger. Kellen has taught elementary and middle school for 15 years, the first 7 in Cutbank, now continuing his career in Helena, where he is currently teaching a 4-5 combo class at Jefferson Elementary School. Kellen came by the teaching gene easily and thoroughly. Both his mom and dad taught in Ronan, where Kellen was born and raised. His sister and brother-in-law are teachers, as is his wonderful wife, Anna, who is currently teaching kindergarten in Helena. Kellen has a master's degree in both science education and special education. He is a national board certified teacher. While teaching in Cutbank, Kellen was selected as a distinguished educator by one of his students. Kellen keeps busy with his 3 daughters, 8th grader Kinsey, 6th grader Kennedy, and 4th grader Carly, chauffeuring them back and forth between many extracurricular activities and being their biggest cheerleader. In his spare time, if he can find any, he enjoys fly fishing and keeping up with the Seattle Mariners. We were so disappointed. Oh, that was a heartbreak. That was a heartbreak. So as Kellen was nominated and received this award, I asked his colleagues to talk to me about him. And so how do they describe him? Here are just some of the few things that folks had to say. Kellen is a kind human with a big heart who makes meaningful connections with students, staff, and Jefferson families, and is the best teaching partner a guy could ask for. He keeps students engaged, curious, and excited about learning. Kellen has an innate ability to connect with students in a genuine, authentic, and caring way. The foundation of education is relationships, and Kellen excels at building these connections with every student in his classroom. His dedication, teamwork, and care for the Jefferson community make him truly deserving of the NEA Excellence in Teaching Award. And of course, there's a side to Kellen that may not be seen in the classroom, but is definitely seen in the staff room. He's basically the human version of a Friday afternoon. He has earned the reputation as staff karaoke star and has the best Backstreet Boys dance moves to back it up. Imagine if Michael Scott, Jim Halpert, and Kevin Malone somehow morphed into one person. That's Kellen, a walking episode of The Office. He loves a good corn dog and wishes every day was the county fair. He always keeps us laughing no matter what kind of day it's been and helps us to remember to not take life too seriously. Kellen Alger. And you can tell them what the award's about. Because I didn't do any of that stuff. So you can tell them what it's about.
All right. Thanks, Jane. Sorry. Andy, every time gets me a little teary. Yeah. Well, Jane, I'm not sure exactly what to say about the award, but
What's the recipient? Like, what do you get? Certificate? I think there's something else that goes along with this award.
the next step is I'll go to Washington, D.C. in February to the National Education Association Gala, and they select 10 winners from I think there's 48. There's a winner from each state and 48 states that participate in this, and they pick a top 10 that get recognized for the next level there, and then out of those 10, they pick another person. So yeah, that's kind of.
So I also understand it's a big night for the Algers. What else are you celebrating tonight?
We are also celebrating Anna's 29th birthday.
Oh, you need to say it out loud. Right, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Can I just say one thing about Mr. Alger real quick?
Please do.
Okay, I want to say in addition to being an excellent teacher, thank you so much for being such a great advocate for Helena Public Schools. He's one of the brave few teachers that will come to the legislature and tell them what actually is happening in a classroom, and we really appreciate you doing that on behalf of all your fellow teachers. So thank you.
All right, Mr. Kessler, come on up.
Hello. Mr. Myers, it's good to see you. Welcome. Yes. Today I am very excited to congratulate Miss Erin Cleveland on earning, I think it's Clays is how you say that first name, Nobel Educator of Distinction Award. This award is a national award that is awarded to teachers based on nominations by students. So this was one of Erin's students while she was teaching at Capital that nominated her because of the impact that she had on her during her time over there. Now Erin is currently on the right side of town overseeing our transitions program where she makes incredible connections with students every day. Transitions class is where we have kids who maybe don't have, full support at home, or maybe need that additional person in their life that's going to hold their feet to the fire, but also make sure that they realize that they can graduate and that they can achieve the goals that they set out for themselves. So we really appreciate the work that Erin puts in every day to help those kids set those goals and realize their potential and believe that they can do great things in life. So today we have Erin here, so I'm very excited to congratulate Erin on this award.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erin Cleveland. I've been in the Helena School District since 2005, so I've been here a while. And as Mr. Kessler said, I moved on this side of the town because I really love working with our students who are at risk, those who don't always have someone who really cares about them. And so it's always my great privilege and honor to be that person. And I guess when I received this award, I thought of nothing else but what Jack Cobb said to us forever ago when he said, I want everybody in this room to know that democracy begins in your public schools, and it absolutely does. And I would like to also thank you and honor you for helping us with our democracy, because we serve all, and all always means all. And that's what we do in our public schools. And it's always been my honor to be that teacher. And I received this award from a student who didn't have the best background, and I understood that, I knew. And the reason I got into education was because my own mother came from a very difficult place. And when I asked her how she was able to survive it, she told me that education was her ticket out. And I knew I always wanted to be somebody's ticket. And so I just hope that you as our school board members value some of these programs like peer mentoring or transitions learning lab, where we allow students the opportunity to be leaders in their own school, even though they might not be academically amazing. Right. And Brian asked me when I did Transitions Learning Lab last year, he was like, what can we do to really get these students vested in school? Can you think of something? What can we do? And I was like, I sure can. And so we did a peer mentoring program where they assisted students at Bryant. They became leaders. They helped plan and implement activities for our students with special needs. They did acts of kindness every month at our school, so they were able to see themselves as a leader. They saw how truly valuable members of our school and community that they could be. And I just hope that we can try and fund those programs more. I know we're always in a state of cutting, but this transitions program has been cut in half, and it makes me sad because it's all we have for our students who are at risk. There are so many students I've worked with who have been transient. They come in, I get to work with them for the first time and see that they're at a fourth grade reading level as a sophomore in high school, and they've come to us from elsewhere, and they need services to be able to make it. And so we need people in my position or jobs like this where we truly get to target these kids and say, you matter, and we're here to help you. We can help you find success and so much value in our community. It makes our community safer to have this. So thank you for democracy. Thank you for being here. And thank you for allowing me to be honored with this award.
Excellent.
Thank
Nice
you.
job.
Next up is the Grit Award. Do you know who's,
I got that.
you got that one? All right. Go for
We're,
it.
it's, we always enjoy recognizing our students. But tonight's special because we get to recognize our staff, just the way that it fell in. I see Miss Carter standing there in the doorway. We want to recognize her. The Grit Award celebrates resilience, innovation, tenacity, and genuine individuals making a difference in school-based mental health care across Montana. Lana was a awardee of the administrators category. This category recognizes administrators who provide leadership, support, oversight to school-based health teams in school partnerships. She was nominated twice. In her nomination, had to say this is what her nominations had to say about her. Lana Carr has truly been instrumental in advocating for, organizing, collaborating, partnering, and leading the way and incorporate school-based health sites for Helena Public Schools. She works hard to ensure that no student falls through the gaps by using multi-tier systems of support and universal screeners. Her vision is rooted in equity. She believes that no student, regardless of their zip code, deserves to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. She is not just an administrator. She is a system-level change agent, and she is truly appreciated across our district. We are thankful that the work that we started about 3 or 4 years ago with Lana and where she's taken it to this point. So it's great that she was recognized through the grit. And I would say that the T on grit was that tenacious attitude that to never give up on students and for students. So we're thankful for her leadership and happy for her recognition. Ms. Carter.
The mic is mine. Oh, boy. I really feel like I wish I had all the partners up here that work with us in our schools for our families and for our students every single day. We're working really hard to make sure that we have resources in every building. We're very close. And in some cases, working to bring in an extra partner so that we know that we have the services that every student needs across our system that also support the families and what they need. So I'd like to have them all right here with me because I think they deserve to be up here just as much as I do. I appreciate the recognition. Thank you.
Well done. Well done and much deserved. Second award I'm happy to present tonight is the to Assistant Superintendent Mr. Josh McKay. He was recognized for the CT Administrator of the Year Award a couple of weeks ago down in Bozeman. This award recognizes administrative CTE professionals at school, district, county, state, or federal levels who have demonstrated leadership in ensuring teachers and student success, have made significant contributions towards innovation, unique, and effective career and technical education programs. Mr. McKay has enjoyed partnering with career and technical education teachers in programs such as Digger Days and Career Days here within the district. He has assisted in strengthening the welding and machine pathways for grades 6 through 12 through the Technology and Equipment Project. Mr. McKay was nominated by our staff and recognized in Bozeman a couple of weeks ago. So we're happy to have this recognition in his efforts as well. So Mr. McKay.
We can do one of these. It truly is a team award, a district team award that we get. We got the last few years, got great opportunities to work with HEF, our own district, and places like Boeing to outfit and help out PAL Capitol High, Helena High, and get some really valuable equipment to enhance the projects there. But it really was a cool experience for me to get nominated by our staff to be recognized in that CTE conference. It's a conference that we go to for CTE, but it also houses the adult ed portion of our district and adult ed agencies. So a lot of good learning there, and from a lot of people that are, I would say, at the kid level, trying to make kids successful in what their passion can be. In so many places of our district do we have that. So to be recognized in that setting was really helpful, but we have that going on everywhere. And if it wasn't for all of the collaborations we have going around in our district, leaders, students, teachers, we wouldn't be doing as many great things as we do now. So big team award. Thank you.
As you're preparing over there, you don't have to do this one, by the way. I do believe that Lana and Josh both knew that, in fact, I know Josh knew this award was coming and was pretty much crickets for 2 days afterwards. It was leaked out of Bozeman that is actually taking place. So I think it's a testament to both of them. It's not about themselves. It's really about the team. And you heard them say both times, as I will here in a minute. It's really about the team around you. So I appreciate their leadership.
All right, I got
Could
this
have
one.
done it from over there.
I could have, but I wanted to do it proper. Next up is the G.V. Erickson Award, and this goes to our superintendent, Rex Welts. He is the recipient of the prestigious G.V. Erickson Award presented by the School Administrators of Montana, SAM. This distinguished honor represents the highest recognition for a Montana school administrator and celebrates those who have made outstanding contributions to the advancement of public education in our state. Superintendent Welts' visionary leadership, unwavering education, and commitment to excellence continue to strengthen Helena Public Schools, support students and staff, and inspire the broader Montana education community. Mr. Welts was nominated by his staff, but he could have been nominated by any member of the board, I suppose, and any member of this community. As some of you know, he was hired in a mask and hired during COVID, inherited a district that was dealing with all of that division, all of those troubles, coupled with budget problems, coupled with you name the problems, and in relatively short order through several hundred grueling meetings that all of you were a part of, and a million difficult decisions. Mr. Welts has our district right side up, was super influential in a $283 million successful bond. Also worked hard on mental health support systems in our school, the academic growth of all of our students, and also it's just his great humanity as a volunteer in our community and a father and a husband and all the wonderful things that he does in his life. So congratulations, Mr. Welts. We have.
By the way, Mr. Meyer, if you do want to use your mic, you have to hit the little button so it turns blue. That's a good. Yeah, I probably will sound much like the last two people before. A team. I coached through high school, middle school, elementary. And often, MVPs come to mind, like you're always given an MVP, or who's the most valuable person. Cal Raleigh, Kellen, right? Kind of stuff is that it's really not about it. There's so many people behind the scenes that help individuals rise to acknowledgement. And I would be short-sighted to think that this is just me. I'm too humble for that. There's a really great team around us, and small but mighty. But I think that another aspect that people don't give credit where it's due is we've had a really tremendous board as of late in my run here, in supportive and trusting. Well, let's take that trusting back. Remember, there's times where I had ideas. You're like, I don't think that's going to work. So we're earning trust as we move forward. But I do believe that we have a really sound board, one that's compassionate and willing to see a vision or a risk that I think is worth taking. And you have allowed me to do that, and my team has supported me through that. So I appreciate you as a board, the team that I get to work around, and an opportunity. We had a long ways to go, and it was all uphill, and we moved forward. So I'm happy with the work that we're doing. I've said it before, and I said it last night, is that we're not done. I was on the Mighty Mo yesterday morning, I believe, and they're asking, like, we can now take a break. Oh no. So they don't know me. They don't know us. We can't be satisfied with where we're at. Good's just good, and it's the evil of greatness. And so we know that. So let's we're not going to quit. This award doesn't mean that we're going to just now lay back on our laurels and enjoy. We still got a lot of work to do. So I'm glad. I appreciate the recognition, but I just want to make sure that we're not, that you know that we're not done. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Superintendent.
Superintendent,
Well,
right back in it. Here we go. Speaking of not being done, I'm gonna muddle through this. There's a lot. There was a little antidote. I headed home Friday, and I think it's the first time I literally said to myself on the way home, "Self, I'm a bit overwhelmed." There was a lot going on last week, and I just see it coming at us, and I look forward to it. But let's get through. So, Mr. Meyer, in my superintendent report, I always run through recognitions. I like to make sure that we recognize people and doing great things. Then I'll talk a little bit or a lot, depending on the nature of where we're at, new business. And I always have an outreach, kind of where have I been, and kind of a roadmap of where it's at. So that's the way that we run through it. I don't talk a lot about the outreach. You can read through it. I don't have to explain, at the radio station Mondays and Fridays and newspaper and print. So you can kind of see where we're at. But let's go run back up to the top in recognitions. Native American Heritage Month, super important to me. Mrs. Cleveland was talking about her mom having a rough time, and school was out. It was for me as well, but my late sister-in-law, Native American, went through the foster system, and she had often said the only thing that saved her life from abuse was the school system when she went from Alaska to a large school in western Montana, and then found herself in a foster care in a small little town in Knoxon. And the only thing that saved her life was the teachers in that building. And that's really what we do. And that's where democracy starts. And that's what we do for all kids. She later passed cancer here not too long ago, and was only fitting to have her funeral services in the building that saved her life. It was really full circle and fitting. It is Veterans Day, a great day. Janet and I got to go out to Jim Darcy. If you haven't had a chance to experience the Jim Darcy Veterans Day assembly, it's getting bigger and faster and stronger. It was really well done today. I do want to recognize some people that we know that have served. Mr. Todd Verrill, 31 years, retired out as a colonel, an 06, I guess, full dog they call it. We thank Todd for his service in the Army in 31 years. I think it has set up him for success coming to Helena Public Schools. We have then Miss Janet Armstrong, and she retired as a captain on the U.S. Air Force. She was a pilot. She has some accolades that she's really humble about talking about, but she was the first female pilot to land in some foreign lands. And yeah, but Gary, this is her bird. It's similar. It's a C-21, I believe, and that's the Air Force version of a Learjet, probably, right? Probably a Lear 35. Yeah. So that's Janet's office in the U.S. Air Force. It's pretty cool. I'd like to hear more about that. Yeah, and Janet and Todd have this great rivalry between football season, Air Force and Army. And who won that last game? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, two other people. My stepdad served in U.S. Navy, was on aircraft carrier for several missions, and talks a lot about it. It was unique. Him and his brother both served on the same boat in the same time, which I don't know if that happens very often, but his name is Neil Rose. Appreciate him. And then my son served the U.S. Air Force for 4 years, went through basic and was in North Dakota, and then was deployed out to Turkey for about 3 years. And so he met his wife now and lives in Germany, but my son, I'm super proud of him for being in the Air Force. He was security. So happy Veterans Day to all those people that were out. National School Psychology Week. When it's a national day, it's like my birthday at home. It's a month, right? We're going to celebrate the month. And so National Substitute Educators Day, but it's Educators Month. I want to thank Becca Leapart and HEA or HEF for their work around Sparks grants, great ideas, and then surprising teachers this last couple of weeks around the Let's Talk About Great Teachers Award. So that's always a great time. We've been really busy in the district office, or usually I'm in tow and celebrating the great teachers and giving out monies. But I really learned about their route and journey this last 3 weeks through Facebook. And so it looked like they've had really great success. Callie Ashton, Chamber, can't speak enough about her. We had our blueprints and brews and blueprints, and I still think it needs to be pints and projects. It rolls off the tongue so much easier. But I called Cal the other day and I said, we can't stop. We've got to get things going. Let's continue to move our outreach and community engagement. And she takes that information and she says, all right, let's go. And so she'll send me 6 dates. You're up. And so she takes the information in the dream and she makes it reality. And now we had our first one last week. We are not going to have another blueprint episode in December. We'll kick it back off, I think, January 3rd or 4th. It's that Thursday. It's the 7th, January 7th is our next one. And so those will be broadcast out and put out on our website and also the Chamber. Chamber does a blast and it'll just track us as we go out. And really the nature of that is we talked about the need, and now we're going to talk about the updates to the projects. Where's our architects? Where's the GCMs? When does ground start breaking? When do people get to buy bonds? And that's really where we're at with the Blueprints events. Welcome, Mr. Meyer. You are on the docket here for recognition. We did talk about Ms. Carter, Mr. McKay, Ms. Cleveland, and Mr. Alger. We want to thank them. A special event that took place last week, Special Olympics, and that was phenomenal across our district. I think we were in 8 different sites. I'm still in Delaney's thunder because I forgot to put this in my notes, but she talked about it at HEF last night, so I'll be quiet. You can talk about the rest of it, but how it meant to you guys in your buildings. Pretty special event. New business. We're working through the director of finance interviews. We'd had the interviews. One person has risen to the top. We're doing some work around what that might look like. But remember, Janelle is unfortunately leaving our organization December 31st. I really need somebody about 8 weeks ago to step beside her and learn as much as possible as we transition. So we're working through the process. There's not a lot of skill set in that position. We are finding that we might have great people and good heart, great individuals, and we'll have to build the skill sets around. So that's really where we're at right now and working through that process. More to come. We've been in the middle of this Bridge Alliance, and remember, Bridge Alliance is House Bill 332. That's the Universal Trust, 150 school districts, 12,000 lives. That's what's needed to stand up the $40 million to provide a broader wholesale approach to healthcare. Man, it's really difficult. I will say this. I meet with the AA's every Friday, and we all just like, John Dorn's got a tough job. And as hard it is, he's been a little bit criticized around, it's a sales pitch. Yes, it is a sales pitch because we need 12,000 lives in 150 school districts, right? So it gets to be that way. That's the nature of it. And so, and when you ask districts to jump out of something they're comfortable with and they know into the ocean with maybe not a life vest, maybe it's a floaty, it's scary and it's difficult and there's adversity to that. And so it's really difficult for districts to say, pick me, coach, I'm going. And I think John Dorn and his team has worked extremely hard on a shoestring budget across the state, trying to convince people that they're trying their best to do what's best for healthcare and school employees across the state of Montana. So we may be there, we may not. I don't know where we're going to end up, but I do recognize the fact that they're working their tails off trying to make this thing affordable and at work, that something would work for us. They did move that up, just for your information. They needed that decision from districts in mid-November. They have moved that up to mid-December. So we've got a little extra time. I kind of figured that was going to happen. So we've got some more time. And if Kay was here, and Trustee Satry has done a tremendous amount of study and a steward of the board for this. She has a really good grasp on it through the Health Benefits Committee. And so she's keeping privy to all the information. Although she's not here tonight, she would speak to it. We have some questions. We want Bridge Alliance to come back and answer some more. So there's been a lot of yeah buts. Yeah, but I don't know if that works. And so we ask the question, that gets fielded through John Dorn and his people, and it comes back to us. So we're just doing this ping pong or volleyball of information back and forth until the Health Benefits Committee gets comfortable with making a recommendation. Remember, this is the superintendent, and this is not your recommendation. It's going to come through the Health Benefits Committee. It will come to the board for a recommendation for your approval. Right? So that's the way we're going to run. Some other districts in the state thinking that their Health Benefits Committee they make the decision, and I don't think that's the way that's going to roll. It's not for us. We're going to have the board make that final decision if we're moving forward. Maybe last on that, the biggest piece of the Health Benefits Committee of Bridge Alliance is that there's a possibility of having a multiple of Medicare being the inflationary increase factor versus the charge master, which generates the inflationary increase on general inflation. So if we see inflation around 12, 13, 14%, that's what our healthcare could go up to. But if we are able to build contracts, if Bridge can have contracts with all hospitals on the multiple of Medicare, then those are set by federal standards and they could be 2 or 3 or 4%. So it decreases the volatility of our renewals. There's more to come on that, and I know that we have some experts in the room, but that's really the hang up across most of the AA's and all other school districts is what does that look like for contracting. Problem is we need to make the decision on healthcare in December, and we may not have those contracts in place until April. That's the jumping into the ocean without a life vest. So more to come. Moving through, we talked about during our retreat during our July long work session meeting at Bryant. I'm training myself. Are you getting this? Well, it's no longer a retreat. It's not a retreat. We're going to have a long board meeting in July at a school in our district that we're going to talk about things. And one of the things last July is that we talked about a data dashboard. How are we going to present forward facing for our staff and for our public? And what data points are we looking at? And so we've pulled teams together. We're working with a specialist out of the Dakotas husband-wife team that does just this work. And so we're picking their brain on what that looks like. So I want you to know, though we talked about it in July, about it doesn't mean we're not doing it. It's just that it's still in the works, right? So more to come on data dashboards. All right, Gary, off the Air Force and on to helping families. All right. This is a fairly lengthy superintendent report, not showing off for you, Keith. We are, though we're building buildings and there's a lot of excitement around that. What comes to mind and our biggest concern as a team here in the district office last week was government shutdown. All right, so we see a lot, you hear about it on the news and whatever factor of news that you're getting, but the most important aspect of what the government shutdown entails or has a burden on our district are those students and families that are affected by that. I will not get into the politics, and I'm going to tell you if it's good, bad, or otherwise. But what I do know is this is hurting our kids and our families. And so pulling people together around how are we going to support families in a time of need. And so our team pulled together Food Share, Jordan, the director over at Food Share, Sodexo, Chamber, community members, and Helena Public Schools came together and said, what can we do? We know that there are a lot of food pantries going on I heard that Helena High has a new cooler and a freezer, and they're doing food pantry work. And then I also heard a couple of elementary schools doing it. And so we really wanted to make sure that we choreographed it, a consistent practice across all buildings. And so this is what came out of this. And I want to thank Taylor Lassiter for putting this together. Literally, I asked if it could be done yesterday, and she did it the day after. It was that fast. And so I really want to thank her for her work around this. And I'm sure there were others. But if you look at we come around the corner with the understanding that people are going to need some help. So there's 3 ways to donate to Helena Food Share. We knew that Helena Food Share has the skill set to do this work. Right, that we talked about this in the double A's up in Great Falls. They are doing similar work. So one of the ways that we can, this is all part of my newsletter that went out last week. We'll share it far and wide, but there's ways for people to help. And community food pantry hubs at each school location. This is really great because we choreographed the fact that we can bring food to each one of our schools, but when the food pantry brings their food packs to the schools, they can pick up the boxes of food and transport it back over to Food Share. We haven't had that level of coordination of how we're going to get all the food back over to Food Share. So that was important. So there's food hubs at each one of our schools. There is a Helena Food Share site right there. So if you donate or if you click on that QR code, it talks about the ways that you can donate food. You can do the first one is a code for money. The second one is a food donation. If you look at the, there's a donation door that Taylor made as a hot link. It just shows you where to drive up to the Food Share building and where that door is that you can drop it off. So it's just a visual. November 15th at 4 o'clock is a place that you can go get food or holiday meals. And Helena Food Share is always looking for ways for you to volunteer, and there's a link there to sign up for that. The third way that that this committee came together is that you can donate through RevTrack. RevTrack's our revenue our system here at the district, and you can click on that QR code and you can either donate money back to Food Share or you can donate money back to the school to pay for students' lunches. I was on the phone with somebody Thursday afternoon and said, if there's a way that I could pay $10,000 just to pay for some kids' meals, I would do that. And so, wait, we got away. And we just clicked this link. So there's ways for community members, and that's businesses and organizations that have a desire to donate back to the school and make sure that kids are eating during this time. Right, so that was the 3 ways that you can help. I think down at the bottom, we worked with some other ways to help out. So you can sign up for food packs. There's a link there. A lot of our parents don't know that the food packs are available. Right, so there's a way to sign up for a food pack. So we make sure that Food Share brings a food pack to a student, and then they're able to pick it back up. On top of that, Gary, under the food packs, there is there's a way to sign up for your food pack, and there's a place for the community to support the food pack. So if you want to donate food to the food pack, there's the link. Moving further, this is the holiday meals. I think there's 2 places. The Helena Food Share has a time. So if you click that link, there's a place you can go in and shop. Right? If you have not been to our Food Share of our building, you really need to go over. It's fantastic of what they're able to offer our community. And then I believe also that we have a grocery that's doing free meals that you can pick up and take out as well. Moving further, we remember right there. So this up a little higher, Gary. Sorry about that. Gary and I were trying to choreograph if he could read my mind or not. I was given grief that he couldn't. Don't know why. A list of resources for furloughed federal employees. And what that means, Gary, can you click on that for me? So we have people that work on the base or at the fort, and those that are that have income from federal sources. I think this might be the 3rd full paycheck that did not get delivered. But if you look at Bank of America, Chase did the same thing to me, Gary. Bank of America, Chase, Federal Credit Union, Navy Federal Credit Union. It goes on and on and on of if any of our families are associated or bank through those units, there are ways to have your payments suspended until the government shutdown is over. And so there is a list of cell phone, electrical, you name the hardship, there's a way that our community in our state can support families that are struggling. And so that's a list out there. We've edited this through, but we've got that through some individuals that work out at the fort. And so I thought it was really helpful that our community knows that these are some resources that they can use. Now there's good news. I think there's some things moving through. I think the Senate just passed and we're now out to the House and maybe we can get the shutdown. We don't know. I'm not taking a chance. We're gonna have this out here until it's over and making sure. And then when it is over, it's not over because it's going to take a while for things to pick back up. So that's, we can back out of that. And there's also a way to sign up for free and reduced lunch. And it's not just free and reduced lunch. I think, Taylor, you have this as a QR code on the upper right-hand corner to sign up for free and reduced lunches, but it doesn't, and meals, it doesn't just provide meals. If you look at that box, it's more than a meal application. It's really around, it's meals, it's clothing, it's sports and activity fees, it's health and wellness that Lana works with. There's so much more around the free and reduced application. So it's really important that people are able to fill this out during this time. Moving down, and field trips, of course. And I think that was Caitlin. So there it was a team effort here. Caitlin, you might help me out with, I just learned of Amy's Mess. Amy's Mess is an organization that's providing meals for those that are homeless. Do you want to come talk about it? I know enough to be dangerous. It's another resource in town, and you have to apply for it. But Caitlin talks a lot about Amy's Mess.
So Amy's Mess is a community organization. Amy is a lovely lady in town, and a couple years ago, when our homeless numbers started to increase, she came to us and said, "How can we help?" And Michelle Zentz, our homeless liaison, and I said, well, our biggest gap is food. We can't purchase food with our federal funds. And that's really what our families are looking for when they're homeless. And it started with hotels. We could pay for up to 3 nights in a hotel with our ESSER funds for families, but then they'd be in a hotel and all they could get was food from a vending machine. And so Amy went out and she found her meal makers, that's what she calls them, and they would bake casseroles, they would bring crock pots full of food that they could just plug in and heat and have a warm, nutritious meal for their families. Since then, it's spread. She has this year fully stocked the Broadwater Pantry and Jim Darcy Pantry. She runs fundraisers. She just ran one last night at the Eagles and raised over $5,000 that will go directly towards food for families. She grocery shops for families and delivers it to, if they're living in a camper, at the KOA or wherever it might be, and she'll deliver the groceries for the families. And so she works with us, and we let her know we have a family that's interested. We get her in touch with the family, and then she goes out and makes her magic happen with food security and insecurity.
That's what it's all about. It's pretty incredible. Thanks, Caitlin. Moving down. What's the pantries for schools and how can you help? And it just goes on to talk about where other people can help. The Exchange Club, we work with them. They're one of the visits when we're out talking about bonds and levies and how they support, but they're really great about coats for kids and warm clothing for kids during winter months. They do a lot for our community, but that's their claim into school districts, and great human individuals. They care about kids. I love their program around boots and coats for our school students. Angel Fund, we hear all the time of the great work that they do in our community. No stranger to helping families during adversity. So this was really well done. Where's number 13? November 13th. I was whispered in my ear about what do we got November 13th? Oh, yeah, right. So free and reduced lunch November 13th. For Angel Fund. Do you want to come up and tell us about it? Brian, Mr. Kessler is on the board, so tell us about. It's in red too. I should have seen it.
It is with Angel Fund. Excuse me. We've been spending all of the nights. Our Angel Fund coordinators. Each school has a coordinator that helps to get these applications and connect with the kids that have free and reduced lunch. So that they can apply to get the 200 or 250. The really cool part with Angel Fund this year is we received a grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield to match that amount for our homeless students. So a homeless high schooler received $500 this year to buy clothes. And to make some of those purchases that they need. So Thursday is the last day that kids can purchase clothes technically. We still do keep that open a little bit if we have some late arrivals that come in to do that and make sure that they have that piece. So.
Brian, I just wanted to remind that Angel Fund's having their on Broadway
Yes.
dinner on Monday, the 1st of December. So if you're
Yep.
tired of turkey, to come down, and 50% of all the proceeds from on Broadway will go back to Angel Fund, and it's always a fun night.
Yeah,
So
it's a great night.
can
I
support
think
it,
we
so.
have 70 or 80 auction items already. There is a competition because we like that between the Helena High, Capitol High, and East Helena High. The losing principals, so Mr. Zanto and Mr. Condon will have to wear a Helena High shirt after that. So, yeah.
Yeah, the On Broadway is a real special event. A lot of times it's packed. It's a busy night after work, and so we'll order it up, pick it up to go, and just donate that way. So if you get a chance, it's a great evening. If you can find a table, it's even better. I think it's December 1st. And that's December 1st is Monday. Just at a glance, infographic for our homeless, just to put that in perspective. You may have seen it come through your numbers. So Caitlin Hess, Michelle Sentz put out graphics every month. Right now we're sitting, as of October 27th, we're 348 students that are homeless, recognized homeless. That's up 92 over the last month. It's quite a bit. All right, I'm moving on here. And the rest of this will go a little quicker. Some of this, the new business will be covered in items for information. Facilities, bond project updates. We will talk a little bit about bond construction facility meetings, owner's rep, Helena High project, capital project. Helena Education Association, the union, and our team, we're working on an early retirement incentive package. We talked a little bit about that. It's there's more to come. I just haven't had a chance to. We had some legal language that came back to us, and I haven't had a chance to really decipher what BIA was trying to tell us. And so, and Jane, we got a little nervous, like it's not dead. I just haven't had a chance to get to that one yet. So, but I will say that we have 11 board meetings before winter break. Is that right? It's pretty close. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity for us to have. What I'm trying to tell you is that in one of these meetings, either a full board meeting or work session or a special board meeting, you're going to see the teacher incentive package come back to you. All right. And I'll give you plenty of heads up so that we can talk about it. I am excited about some work that we've started early and continue to work. This will come out after the first of the year, but we're exploring pathways of growing your own. Really in this process of talent's hard to find. And so what does it look like within our school district? And so we're working on a para to teacher. Like when paras are really excited about the education field, they want to be a teacher. And so we're helping them through that pathway. And we're also now starting a teacher to administration. So leadership, finding those individuals such as I was lucky enough to have a principal say, I know that you want to, I'm going to be gone tomorrow. Would you like to take over the building? And so finding those individuals that are interested in stepping into roles and then growing them into those positions and find out if they are elementary, middle school, or high school, or are they crazy enough to do it all? Where is their ambition? What does the ambition look like? And how can we support them through that effort? So we're going to really streamline the process around growing our own for both on para teacher, teacher to admin. You ready? I want to talk briefly on our Kindersprouts. So I'm going to have Assistant Superintendent come up and give us a brief update on our 8th Kindersprout program.
For sure. Okay, so we are full. We're at capacity with our 8 Kindersprout classrooms. We have 144 students attending, which has been great. We maintained a wait list so that we could fill spots if families felt like it wasn't a good fit for them. We had a PLC, Mrs. Simpson out of Smith runs that PLC group and meets with them every second Monday of the month, and things are going well. They had conferences not too long ago, and families were very appreciative of the efforts and all the things we're doing for our littlest learners. We're already in conversation and creation around starting screening for our Sprouts next spring. We can start screening in February. We've received phone calls already regarding the program, and we'd really like to maintain, if not grow, the number of classrooms and the number of kids we're serving in the community. So trying to get a jump start on that and get information out. Yeah, so we've gotten just a lot of interest, a lot of energy, really great teachers in those classrooms. Students are loving it. So
Remember, last year we ran 2 programs, 2 rooms at 4 hours. This year, 8 rooms full time, right? So 8 to 3 o'clock, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. So bigger, faster, stronger. Interesting fall of 2024. We had 54 students. All were not proficient. That's how you got into the program. Non-proficient, 54 students. We tested them in the spring of 2025, same Pele assessment, 67% of proficient. So good growth, right? So we're going to keep an eye on what that looks like. And quite frankly, we may be a study from Harvard through the state on 4-year-old programs, on the effectiveness of what 4-year-old programs look like across the state. That's through SAM. So anyway, thanks for the update. All right. Last but not least, we always talked about it in the July long work session meeting, that there's programs that we're going to look at. We looked at SPED 2 or 3 years ago. We are analyzing gifted and talented this year. It's just one of those that, and it seems to be one of those that always comes up. Everybody's talking about it. And so we just, what is it? What are we doing? Are we doing what's necessary? Are we on the cutting edge? So we just wanted to learn more. And so we have partnered with a consultant, a contact with Jenny that has had a relationship, a professional relationship and knowledge of a professor of hers that is gifted and talented, really excels in it. And so we're bringing them in just to do a high level focus over what we're up to. So we'll have more. I think that started, got the contract in place. He's doing virtual meetings with lots of stakeholders, teachers, parents, students, administration, so, and perhaps trustees. So that is what we are up to. That you can see on the backside of this, the outreach. Other than that, that is my superintendent report for the month.
Thank you. Are there any board comments or questions for this, Mr. Welts? Yes, go ahead.
I just with all the hardships that are happening that you talked about, thank you for sharing that with us. I'm wondering, it looks like the health subsidies are going away, which is going to be upwards of a extra $500 to $800 a month for families of low income. And so I'm guessing we're going to see quite a few families dropping off of the American Care Act if they had it. And also wondering if that might affect our teachers as well, as far as the healthcare numbers, if more people might be more interested or less. I don't know. I just thought I would throw that out there.
Yeah. Good point. No answers from me right now. I think those are all factors in which we talked about food insecurities and needs around financial needs, but I haven't put the brain on the healthcare side. And you're right, that could go away as well, or
I don't have
furlough.
Just
Yeah.
happening. Maybe we want to stay in front of it if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, the Grow Your Own program, is awesome. And I'm just wondering if there's any interest to extend that, over time as a CTE program, and, with like Helena College, so we could keep some of our students into the teaching realm as well.
There's interest in that, absolutely. In fact, did some outreach here a month ago. That I know of some pathways and programs that offer a high school pathway with dual enrollment to college, just around students becoming teachers and working with our elementary schools for their hours. And so we are now, I actually handed that off to Justine and Josh a couple of weeks ago and said, build it. Okay. So they're working on it. And I see it actually was in a meeting today. It was on their desk, and we'll bring that back up, but it is on our radar.
Well, it'd be wonderful to get them hooked to
Yeah.
teaching right away.
It's a super beneficial and powerful opportunity for students to work with our elementary students. If they have any desire to be in education, a paraeducator, daycare settings. So it's a much needed pathway, and I think we can grow it from inside out.
I really appreciated all the resources that you reviewed, and I know some of this will overlap with district staff, but I was also wondering, are there resources for district staff or focus that are struggling with food security outside of what you mentioned here? Are there some coordinated efforts on that?
Excuse me. That's a good question, right? Our pantries, I have heard, I can't quantify this, but I've heard that our pantries are also available for some staff that need support. I don't know if that's reality or not, and we'll need to look into that. But the resource around food share is theirs. That is a resource that our staff, if needed, can go that direction. This is a difficult time because the people that are needing it now have traditionally not asked for help. Right? There's a stigma around asking for help, and so we got to be really careful. You know, who's going to see me? What's it look like? What's the perception as I go in and get food? So we've got to break those down, those ideals about who we are as a human when we can't eat, and yet it's a possibility. So we got to walk through this really carefully, but yet provide opportunity. So we're not experts at this right now. With as large as this is, it's just we just took it an hour and a half one afternoon and built something the following day, and we put it out there. But you've heard me say it 100 times. Seinfeld season 2 is better than season 1. We're still working on season 2. Right? We're going to get better at it, but we still need more around healthcare, around our own staff. It's important.
And I appreciate you saying that. And the only reason I ask, so we work for St. Pete's, and so we've got all these carts and stuff for patients. But then, and it's not something that I had thought of, but now they've made coordinated efforts also for staff. And I'm sure they're navigating that too. It's all in real time. So just kind of trying to, just curious, because like you said, there's stigma all around, whether it's internally or people in the community. So
I'm looking at I'm going to phone a friend. Do I have anything you guys want to add? Josh, Caitlin, Justine, Taylor? Kaylee looked like you had something to say. Yeah. So those that are online, 15 of you, you may not have heard the response from the audience. Taylor Lasser Communications just talked about how do we continue that is making sure the lines of communication is still open, that people know where to reach out when they are ready to reach out. Okay, last part of my superintendent report. I wasn't quite done. From my experience as being a high school principal in an area that's where it's tough to be home, I'm fully aware, we are fully aware as a team that those 16 to 19 days at winter break is not always a most desirable place for students to want to be. And so we are in conversation, and by the way, as good as Robert Worthy is with Sodexo, he's even twice as good when people are in need. And so he's helping with food pantries where we're out with teachers are shopping at Costco trying to burn a $100 bill. He said, shop with me and I'll make that $100 bill go further. You can, and then deliver it to the schools, which is a real great benefit. But working with Robert in Food Share and Chamber for our communication, we also know that we need to start planning around some support during winter break when students do not have a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner that's consistent. And so some experiences that I've had and we've had of providing a breakfast, an activity, a lunch, an activity, and go home, maybe in our forecast. Again, there's some financial burden to that. We would look for some help, but those are food needs in a safe, warm, dry place when usually it's pretty darn cold and it may not be the best place for all students. So we're going to provide, maybe some locations throughout our district, and we're in the planning stage of that.
Mr. Myers, did you want to say?
I just wanted to maybe back to you, Rex. You've probably been in contact with Great Falls, but they've got an incredible program of Teach Their Own through Western.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
That's where they're hiring teachers right from the individuals that have been in classrooms.
Yes.
And I just have been in contact in the past, and I just thought we've talked about this 20 years ago about that we needed to be training our own.
A little disappointed in Heather Horner that she beat me, but I'm more disappointed with that Western didn't partner with us and they went to there because I am an old dog. But we are aware of that, and I think there's one more college on the east side of the state that's also doing some of that work around teaching and paraprofessional.
Any other comments from the board? This is an incredible superintendent's report, I have to say. The amount of work and concern and overtime that has gone into this report is extraordinary. And thank you, Mr. Welts, and also everyone who worked so hard. I mean, just the community resources, just mind blowing. So good. Thank you so much. And I hope our public knows that it's there and it's freely offered because we're all in this together. Right. General public comment. Is there any in-person public comment on any matter? Is there any online public comment? I won't read the blurb then. We can move on to new business. First up is consent action items. I would welcome a motion on the consent action items.
Chair McKee, I move that we approve consent action items.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on the motion? Thank you. Is there any board comment on the motion? All right. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the vote is 7-0, which has been the vote we've had for a while. But that's only because Trustee Satry isn't here. It'll soon be 8. We'll be voting at full strength. Okay. Item 4 action. An update on RFPs for Hawthorne Elementary and the May Butler property.
Yeah, so in action, we've worked through this for a while. The background on this, I've had last 5 months, over the last several months, I've had community members reach out and ask, what's the plan? What are you doing with building X, building Z? May Butler and Hawthorne are of interest in specifically, with the newness of the decision around Hawthorne. The community is asking, what does this look like? It wasn't the day later after the decision to close Hawthorne, I had people asking what's going to take place. And it's been the standard answer. Stay tuned. We are working through a plan. And so I've had a lot of interest in what we are going to. Now, I don't know if that interest is from a pure inquisitive sense, like what does it look like, or from an economic or a business sense, hey, I have an idea. I am getting emails saying I have an idea for it. I'd like to lease it, or I'd like to purchase it. I think it should be this. But we haven't, again, consistently asked the public. And the way you do that is through an RFP, request for a proposal. All right. And so what I've done is and we have, by the way, for Mr. Myers, new to the board, we went out for RFPs on May Butler a couple of years ago, I believe. And we got a couple that wasn't suitable for the district, and we chose not to move on that. We also have those buildings, and I think it's in good stewardship of our district and our resources to make sure that we are using buildings efficiently, effectively. And if we're not, we need to ask ourselves, what are we going to do with them, right? We can't continue to sit on buildings in the case we might need them down the line. That's not responsible. And so we really need to find out what we can do. So the first two right now, we're circling back. South Perry, uphill, South Perry is a thriving new kind of a jivey district. And I think it's got some momentum going. And so I'd like to see with our public if they're interested in providing some proposals on what they would do with May Butler, and consequently the same thing with Hawthorne. So I'm asking two things. This came through fast and with facilities and technology subcommittee yesterday. I presented it as just an information. This is coming. I need your approval tonight if we want to move forward on two. The first one's Hawthorne. And what I'm asking the public is, or what is your proposal around facilities of Hawthorne in terms of a long-term lease and or a sale? Now, we do not have to act on it. This is just a real quantified survey. We will get those. The timelines, I think, are on page 3. You can see when we're going to advertise. We've vetted this through our attorneys, and you'll see when we would notice out the individual or organization that we plan to move forward with them, and then a board approval. I think that's in February. We don't have to move. If you choose to go a long-term lease, it's a little easier in the mechanism, as you would know, than if we sell. Sell is a different, and we have to follow statute, and there's a series of protocols that you need to follow if we're going to do a sale. But I simply wanted to ask our community with Hawthorne, what are some proposals that could be beneficial for that neighborhood around usage and or utilization? So that's where we're at tonight. I'm asking for approval to submit proposals to our community.
Are there any questions of the board? Yes, there's Trustee Armstrong.
Not really a question. I just want to make sure that as we look at it on page 2, under the purpose and background, it says what we will not consider as proposals. So just make sure you're aware of that language.
Thank you. I had a question for you, Mr. Wiltz.
Yes.
Both of these properties are in residential neighborhoods, and they've got, next door and across the street neighbors. In this process, when would be the right time for the neighborhood around the properties to communicate with us about what they want to see? Or should we just kind of invite it now through email?
I envision the process for us is let's find out what the proposals could look like,
Mhm.
and then engage the public in the conversation of here's some ideas. I think we all have ideas of what we don't want it to be.
Mhm.
But what are other opportunities that would fit the neighborhood? And so we would engage in a community project, say, here's some opportunities. How do you feel about it? And it quite frankly could be bringing individuals that are interested in that would represent the greater Hawthorne community at large.
Okay,
So
thank you.
we'll need to do that, but I don't want to go there until we know what it is.
Right.
Remember, we put this process in action several years ago with May Butler, and it didn't materialize.
Mhm.
So I don't want to put a lot of energy into it if we don't need to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so the action item is the approval of the RFPs for both May Butler and the Hawthorne property.
So let's do them one at a time.
Yeah,
Let's
one
just
at
do
a time.
Hawthorne. Yeah.
That makes sense. Any other questions for superintendent? All right. I would welcome a motion on item for action number 1, the Hawthorne Elementary RFP.
I move that we approve the request for proposal for Hawthorne Elementary.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there any public comment on the motion? Thank you. Is there any board comment on the motion?
Comment?
Bet.
I want to remind, this is a survey,
Mhm.
and we do not need to act. If there's something that doesn't sit with the board, then we need to back that up and discuss through. So we're either going to find something that looks attractive for us as a district or as a board, and we'll move forward with the process, or we can just say none of those worked for us. We're going to go a different direction. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that we're not held accountable to any proposals.
We don't have to pick one.
We do not.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Sorry, so what's that? Oh, Motion passes 6-0.
with an endorsement from the high school,
Yes.
right?
Thank you very much for that correction. All right, it'll be the same process in every possible way for the May Butler Center RFP.
What's that? Yeah, I'm gonna circle back with Janelle on this. This is unique.
Yeah, because this is,
Janelle, who owns May Butler? Okay, so the high school can vote on this one. The reason why was an elementary school. Most of you
Yeah.
know, then it turned into administrative offices, and that's probably where the split became part of high school. I believe May Butler. Mr. Meyer, would you like to tell us a little history about May Butler? Do not take offense.
I think you've got it right. I mean, it was, when I was here, it was started as it was a school at one time.
Was it K-8, K-12?
I was trying to think. I think it was K-6.
Okay, so in elementary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then converted, and then it was special ed for a while.
Yeah.
It was all special ed. That's where the special ed offices were, and program was going on. Resource teachers would meet up there and so on.
Yep.
And then it moved into the administrative.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a split.
all right. Is there any more discussion about May Butler? Is there a motion about the May Butler Center property RFP?
I'd move.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a second? All right, we got a motion. We got a second. Is there any public comment on the motion? All right. Is there any further board comment on the motion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0 for reals this time. And we'll move on to an item for information, the enrollment update.
Mr. McKay is working his way up. I will introduce him and his prowess around student enrollment. He's not working alone. He has accomplishments, and that would look like Ms. Mickelson and Mr. Meyer and a host of other people around the district. You think that we could count heads and seats in buildings and it would be that simple, but it's never that simple. So this report that you're going to look at from Mr. McKay is robust, complicated, and boiled down to one page. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, board trustees. So about page 27 of your report, you have the multicolored chart. It's kind of funny. Keith and I exchanged a glance. Yep. He used to do a lot of the enrollment, but the Mr. Meyer he's talking about is Gary this time.
Yes.
But a lot of we do a lot around enrollment. So this page that's multicolored is it's kind of a summary sheet of what we work on a lot. I don't wanted to boil it down to one page because I can tell a lot of stories off of this one page. We do a weekly enrollment report within the district that we use for programming and planning and things like that. This is the official fall count that we do in October. And then I work on like a head count, more or less, the number of students total in the district. And then when Janelle's office gets to it, she takes into consideration all of the part-time enrollments, things like that then produce A and B. So this is more of the amount of student engagements at a site is a good way to describe that. So then you have in the upper chart is the green, and that's your elementary district. And there are 5 schools in the upper portion and 5 in the lower portion. That's kind of your west side and east side schools clustered together. And then in the blue part is your middle schools, the west side on top, east side down below. And then purple is your high schools, similar fashion. So you see, like when we go back up to the top and we're talking about Broadwater's enrollment this year, you see a 248 and then a difference from last year of 19. So we talked a lot about that today in the committee meeting, budget and finance, but Broadwater's numbers include a Montessori charter portion. It's kind of called out there. They have for a long time. So the Montessori charters are included in the site totals there, in those totals. Like the story of the 19, a little further information than this morning is a lot of that can be caused by the numbers of kids that go to the middle school versus the amount that come into the school in kindergarten. So you'll see that Broadwater's 19 students smaller, but it sent 39 kiddos to C.R. Anderson from 5th to 6th grade, and it brought in 29 kindergartens. So then you see 10 can be accounted for just in the change in growth of a class. And then remembering talking with that principal last year, Mrs. Bodecker, she had a lot of kids that moved out of town, not to neighboring districts, out of state, out of town. And so then there's stories within that in enrollment. So then you'll see Fort Georgians there, up 9. Fort Georgians was one of those schools where we had 3 Kindersprouts last year in the district. Now we have 8. Fort Georgians took on a Kindersprouts. Jim Darcy sitting at 457 this year. Kessler 281, up 46. Wanted to really use this chart because we closed an elementary school last year in June, and we had a majority of those kids from Hawthorne went to Kessler and Central, but not exclusively all went that way. Some literally got into Fort Georgians this year because there wasn't space in the past, or there were families that voluntarily, or their choice was to move across town and attend a different school, but they were attending Hawthorne throughout the year. So this chart kind of shows that, you know, the Kessler increase and the Central increase are there. Bryant is down a bit. Rossiter's down a bit. Central at the 407, Jefferson 250, Smith, it had, you know, a Montessori pod, but it also added to its arrangement this year a Kinder Montessori. So then that was an add for the district. We added a Kinder section there. Also added a Kindersprouts at Smith last year. Warren added a Kindersprouts coming into fall. So it kind of tells you the tale of the district. And then the very last line is Mount Ascension K5. When we became charter schools, we added the Explore School piece in as Mount Ascension K5. And then when Janelle gets those 48 numbers, those are all quarter time students. So then that is an example of how those 48 result in a different A and B number when she's working with the state on the finance. The tale of the elementary story on that PK5 level now is that we're lower by 82 students than we were last year in the K5. Remember, we had a big presentation it was either November or December, talking about that we had, for a time there, we had increasing student enrollment across the state, or children age 5 across the state. Now we're at more of that level range of where we think we're going to be. That number to watch is like a 445 amount of students in our elementary kindergartner range. We were 501 last year in kindergarten. So it's a number to watch. It was proactive and strategic for our district to add, you know, Kindersprout sections. It's something that we need to continue to do. It helps our students in the long term be better learners. It could be one of the single most important things we do as a district to improve the academic learning trajectory of kids in our system. So I think it was really proactive for us to do that and add those sections. So we'll be thinking about how we increase enrollment as we are working in our new norm, but we kind of knew that. So then that's kind of what we're talking about there. Your middle schools are that 932, 723 numbers. Again, like this, the C.R. Anderson number, it's down a little bit, but that's because it lost a 351 size student 8th grade to go into Capital. Also tells you why Capital's a little bit bigger. And then the incoming number at C.R. Anderson was lower than that 351. So that's why it's going to be lower. And we do that up and down throughout the system as years go by. And then you see Mount Ascension a little bit, that's the online middle school charter combined with Explore School in that 6th, 7th, 8th grade range. We have less interest in that online version. I think it's because kids are figuring out that if they're going to do an online, they really want to do that in high school. And then when you go back to onto the high school end, you'll see growth in that arena. Capitol High is up. I think they're up by a little bit, not up by a lot, but we talked about the reason why is it has a bigger 9th grade class from C.R. Anderson than it graduated. So typical, it was in that 299 to 300 range last year, and Helena High's in that similar boat. PAL Charter's at 62, a little bit up. It has some freshmen in it this year. And remember, PAL does a quarterly acceptance of students because they have the real strong orientation philosophy. So they don't bring them on all in one chunk. They're strategic about making the cohort of kids come in, be successful when they come in. You'll see Mount Ascension has, 105, which is up 40 from last year of people participating in that. And then the high school is up by 84 over last year. A notable number I thought was pretty interesting that I'm also watching is was excited to see that we had a larger number from 8th to 9th grade come to us in our district. So then we pulled in a bigger number than we usually do. We were in that 50 some range, and we usually calculate about 40 kids coming in from 8th to 9th grade. So I was excited to see that. So our biggest class in the district is now 9th grade level. That wasn't the case. Our other big class is the 4th grade class. As it moves through, that was the post-COVID holdouts. While we're in the hybrid years, students didn't start school. So that's a 4th grade class. That bubble will move through our system. And then we have 2 other classes in at 600 level, and that's the sophomore and junior range in our high school. So comparatively, compared to last year, we were excited when we were doing the Moody's work with Bridget and team that were fairly stable on our enrollments. That was big for us. It's always a wait and see what you get, but we're excited to see that. And then the very bottom is kind of the last year's enrollment at this time on engagements. Okay. It's kind of the story. Any questions, Keith?
So Josh, just get me up to speed. I assume we're receiving A and B monies for Kindersprouts then?
We are now, yes. So,
same as kindergarten itself? Okay.
Yep, so it's a full A and B if they qualify. That's way different than, non-funded preschool of old.
Right. So I guess the question you're going to be asked, and I would ask as we move through with this, if you take, I'm watching the Helena High School enrollment. So you take and you look at HMS and you look at there's a higher percentage of small feeder elementary schools than there are on the east side for west side. So I know you've been doing a lot of work on boundaries and so on. And it's the same story that was 20 years ago as we take a look at enrollments in that piece. But we're here because of the loss of East Helena students. So I guess I'm looking forward to the discussions on changes in boundaries at some point, because that's the way the feeder system's set up. We're going to have to do something.
Yeah, good bring up. So we've been talking about boundaries quite a bit, and then we know that'll be coming back to the board for decision on, we're calling them, or I'm calling them, like micro adjustments. If you were to move a huge school all at once, we would cause one to be bigger than the other. And with a mistake. So we look at trends internal, and then we've looked at like neighborhoods that are off boundaries. For example, one where we were talking about, I believe last month, was there's about 5 neighborhoods, but like Treasure State Acres, if it goes to the east side by going to Rossiter eventually, that will help Rossiter. Those kids would still go to Capitol High. But we know we have other areas like in the North Valley that would go east over time, and we have a listing of plans of a slow roll where families could attend the schools they're in, and if they had sibling rules, they could continue to be a part of that educational community. But over time, with minor changes, we can get Capital and Helena High to be in that within 100.
Right.
Would be great.
Right.
And then the same with Helena Middle School. C.R. Anderson will still be a little bit bigger, but if Helena Middle got to the upper 700s, low 800s, that would really, knowing with our current population, that would make C.R. Anderson about 825, 850. So we've talked a lot about micro adjustments, and then I can kind of show you some of those proposed areas, but we're kind of in a comment period right now with boundaries. So that's been out in the public with superintendent's newsletter, other things. We've gotten a few amount of questions. Once they literally hear the information about courtesy routes, where they would be, those questions have been well answered. So I'm not getting a lot of comment about that right now, but we're in a comment period.
Yeah.
And we know that it's another big conversation, but we're moving right along with that. So it'll be coming back.
Thank you.
Just to tag on that too, Mr. Myers and trustees, we've been now engaged in this conversation with the community about a year and a half, maybe two. We've had it at board meetings. We've had it at my superintendent reports. We've had it as items for information. We have talked a lot about it, and I do think that the public is aware. They know what's coming. And then we just recently presented in, I don't know, September, October. We presented again in September, October board meeting. We set up an informational line on our website that you can ask any question you want to the district, Mr. McKay, and then we'll let that soak through the winter, and then we'll come back and visit for an approval, because we want to have that back in sometime January, February, probably February board meeting for a final approval of a gradual change in boundaries. And as Mr. McKay alluded to, that we would like to be within that 100. But what he didn't mention, to his credit, is that we also believe in a brand new school on the east side of town that we may acquire more students coming back in migration to a newer building from other sides. So I think that 100 will get made up through just a new building and the magnet that it will become.
Trustee Hathorn.
Yeah, from this chart that you shared, we're down 116 kids in the elementary district, Kinder Sprouts through 8th grade. Is that a trend that is worrisome? Any more information, budget issues going forward?
I think we'd always like to have growing enrollment, but it's something that we need to continually plan around and with, to keep. So is it worrisome, or is it just things we got to plan with? More, it's how we plan, how we organize to make sure we're ready for upcoming tasks.
I'd say that anytime our enrollment goes down, it makes me worried. It does. So you look at the numbers, what we had last year compared to where we're at this year. Yeah, that makes our office and our conversations around how deep is this? So then we look at year two. Is it the same number, or we bounce back up? We don't know. So we'll through the test of time. But we do know this number is was it 450, 445?
445.
So that number 445, we're going to chase that for 13 years. You're going to make adjustments for 13 years through your system because of that number. And so do we need to chase it next year? Is it another 450? So that grade level, as it moves through, you may need to make some adjustments in second, third, and fourth grades to have the number of teachers appropriate for that number. And then you're bouncing teachers back and forth, chasing bubbles, either increase or decreases. But we are cognizant that this is in our system now, and we now need to find out next year, is it now becoming normal, or is that an abnormal situation? I'd like to see it go back up, or I do get nervous. Yes.
Yes, Trustee Armstrong.
I had two things. Let me see if I remember this correctly from earlier today. do we have a little increase in our first grade when the kindergarten moved to first grade? We
Yep.
talked about that. That was
Great.
kind
Good.
of unusual but positive.
Yeah,
we
so
added
then so we're watching class growth. When I was mentioning today thanks for bringing that up, by the way, we had an increase of ninth graders. Well, we had from 24 to 25 in the current first grade class. We had 501 kinders last year. And this year we have 514. So then it's not, that's why it's a number to watch. I mean, it might be people already, might be people moved in, might be they chose us at whatever that point. So it's good. So we have stories within all of those changes from grade level to grade level. Yep.
And then my other thing I'd asked about, as we plussed up Kessler and Central, do we lose Hawthorne population? And it seems like we lost very little, which was reassuring that we handled a difficult transition fairly well. So I was just really glad to hear that.
I went back to my assistant, Belize, who is the better half of my brain a lot of the days. She, we racked our brains around how many kids did we think moved out of the system, for example, because that changed. And we don't remember any right now. I mean, that might have happened, but it'd be a super small degree. But, and I'm just saying that we really tracked and tried to get people to where they could be well. But major change, hard change, that kind of thing, but also our elementary, I guess looking at it, is overall down in the K-5. And then we took a school offline and we're down. And so that's an important note. It feels like, this is a system adjustment we needed to adjust to. And so then kudos to making a tough decision, but that was what needed to happen in that moment. So then we need to keep recreating systems that are nimble, that can adapt to what students need as we grow forward, and we will. I mean, and that's why it's a thing we got to plan around. We can be disappointed for a little bit, but we got to be nimble and adjust as we move forward.
Any other questions or comments? Thanks for all the work that went into it. I know it's like a constant moving target, moving effort. You guys are paying attention to it all the time. I couldn't help but notice that. You also mentioned that Janelle was involved in it. Of course she was. But as we've been talking about trying to replace that position, it's like you have to know every number. Not just the money numbers, every single number you have to know.
Right. That's the next 19 pages that are on the list. That's you want to talk about it? Not really.
You'd want to come on up and talk about it? You don't have to.
Yeah, I think that you should know, it didn't used to be that much. Like all of the different strands of what needs to go into making A and B now is so much different and greater. Literally, the summary used to be 5 pages when I started here as an assistant soup, which wasn't very long ago, that included the part-times. You have school enrollments in there, but just the amount of complexity, or we talk a lot about Gary, Janelle, Maya, me, principals, secretaries, everybody trying to make this be spot on, because we need to be 100% accurate on the count. But like Janelle and our team and reporting with the state, we'll put something in there and it won't show up on Mayfairs. And we're constantly helping them. They're helping us, but we're getting it right on trial and error with the state a lot of the time. There's been years that we work on this through December on the fall count. Now, that didn't used to be that much either. So we do a good job with this. And then we've been making system adjustments in accordance to our revenues so that we can offer programming that's good across the district. So.
Yes, thank you. And
Well done, Mr. McKay.
if they ever change the way they fund schools, we should hold on to these documents because they could be valuable artifacts of a more
To do
complicated,
and not to do.
convoluted time.
Yeah. AI is going to make it better.
All right. Well, this is a fun 5 items. Items for information on the facilities bond project update. Start with the Moody's bond.
No, okay, I thought maybe we skipped over Bridget. When we invite DA Davidson, specifically Bridget, to our meetings, we seem to make you wait a while. Thank you for being patient with us. Do you have a presentation?
Just a little, I think in the
There's a
board
handout,
packet.
yeah. If you turn to that board packet and look at that first calendar, I'll tee us up here, Bridget.
Okay.
Tee up this page here is what the bond finance team has been working from. That's of all the calendars that are going on in the district, this is the bond finance. And that's Janet and Jennifer, myself and Janelle, are a 4-member team that we have, then our team around us that we meet. But that's a robust calendar in itself. And it bonds in the finance package, as I talked about in the brews and blueprints the other night, doesn't just happen. There's a lot of work that needs to go into preparing the ratings, the bonds, the tombstones, and be ready to acquire $250 million. And so we could not do that work. We just would not be able to do that work without DA Davidson and their support. And Bridget's done this for a few years and is really good at it. So thank you for supporting us through the journey. And we just started, right?
Well said. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And I brought my small file tonight. I have about 4 of these in my office. So we have been busy this month. So thank you. Great to be here, district officials. I'll try to keep the energy up. You've had a lot going on this meeting with this bond topic. Hearing the awards and accolades and activities in this district. It's no wonder the bonds passed, I would have to say. That's one thing for sure. Amazing things happening. So we in the packet, we have the time schedule as Rex just talked about. We have been busy this month on the bond finance committee action items. And the main thing was we wanted to make sure and take advantage of Janelle's expertise. Good job, Janelle, in the back row, getting, through the Moody's process and the rating review process. So she held true to her own accolades, and we ended up getting an A1 credit rating with Moody's, which is great. The full report's in the packet, and we can kind of look through that. Let's just pause first just to kind of go over the time schedule a little bit, just from a macro perspective. We are at the stage where, again, the bonds passed September 9th. We went through the 60-day period for voters to contest the election. Now we're up against, trying to close the bonds before the end of December. So last week we received the Moody's rating on November 3rd. Then we had a bond finance committee meeting on the 4th where we looked at upgrading our A1 rating to AA. And we ended up getting an insurance quote from Assured Guarantee, which elevated our rating to AA and is going to end up being another like $1.2 million to the positive for our project. And it was the lowest by far premium by at least half of the cost of what we normally see, just because they were impressed with the rating report. We always go out with the insurance qualification the day after the rating comes in. So they've had the materials for 3 weeks looking at the same credit considerations, but they looked through the rating report and then came back with that really strong quote for upgrading our rating from A1 to AA. So that's super positive. If we look ahead, so we are in the stage of putting the tombstone out to the public. It looks like this. It's in your packet. That information goes out to the public, and people have the opportunity to purchase a bond on next Thursday. We'll have another kind of credit. We had a credit update this week on Monday, looking at where the rates are going to come in, where we think the true interest cost would be, and that's about 0.25% lower than we projected to voters. So that's great news. We'll put the tombstone out in the IR. It was in the IR, I think, Monday. It'll go in on Thursday and then again on Saturday. I think the districts put out this information to the public as well.
Yep.
So anyone looking to purchase a bond, and they'll be sold in $5,000 increments over a term of 20 years for the elementary, 30 years for the high school. There'll be over 30,000 different bonds available for purchase, and we're going to sell those on Thursday, and we're going to have really good results to report at your next your next board meeting, your next regular board meeting when you adopt the final bond resolution. So we'll lock rates on Thursday, and then move ahead with the board meeting, adopting the final bond resolution on the 9th. And then we close and receive bond proceeds on the 18th of December. And then Janelle is going to ride off in the sunset on a white horse, which really, truly, she did an amazing job answering all the questions that the analysts could throw at her with regard to the district's finances. I'll just kind of read the highlights of the Moody's report. You'll see here that the factors that could lead to well, first of all, the credit strengths were the district's growing tax base with strong full valuation per capita, the district's stable financial profile, and additional flexibility with funds outside the general fund. So that was key to the strong credit rating.
And Bridget, that for the trustees, that's this sheet here. I think it was your second. It's right after this calendar. You can see the strengths that she's reading from.
Yep. Yep. Good stuff.
Sorry for interruption.
Yep. So credit strengths up at the top. And then the last bullet was solid community support, which again, great job on the bond issue effort. Credit challenges, elevated leverage compared to medians, inclusive of authorized and unissued debt. So they looked at both the bonds we're issuing now, and you'll remember we're going to issue the high school $130 million now, and then the remaining issuance probably in 2 series in 2027 and 28 to kind of phase on the tax rolls, and then issue bonds as we need the proceeds. And then in the high school or in the elementary, we're issuing 31.5 million, and then the remaining 11.5 million probably in 2028. So that'll be 2 series in the elementary and likely 3 series in the high school. So the elevated leverage just means that you're really moving through your capital plans that you need for the next decade or so. So there's a lot of upfront issuance of debt, and then you'll have facilities, and you won't have a lot of other bond needs after that. And then the last thing was moderate taxpayer concentration. So there's just your top 10 taxpayers have what they consider moderate taxpayer concentration. And then the factors that could lead to an upgrade are sustained reduction in leverage to materially below 400% of revenues. And they look at your bond issuance compared to your operating revenue. I think a better measure would be to look at your tax base, which they consider you in the AAA category for strength of your tax base, but they look at it as a percent of your operating revenue. So that's that measure. Second bullet point would be ability to maintain current reserve and liquidity levels at a sustained basis. So your reserves, again, are really strong, maintaining those at the levels you have. And then factors that could lead to a downgrade are significant increases to leverage and fixed costs beyond current expectations. So we're, again, covered kind of for the next 10 years in the districts, not a lot of other capital needs. So that shouldn't come into play. Accelerated enrollment declines, piggybacking off of the last conversation or the last agenda item. And then material weakening of the district's financial position. So I think we're in really great position to maybe get the upgrade, not a downgrade. The A1 credit rating is as good as we see in Montana. Bozeman schools and Billings each are the only in the state that have 1 notch higher than us, and that's just because of the size of their tax bases. Otherwise, we're the strongest. There's a lot of notches below us and a couple of notches below us. So at Helena Schools, we're doing really well. The last page of the report, or second to last page, just talks about where you ranked in each category that they look at, and it would be, I guess that's page, then the next one down. Oh, let's see. Keep going a little bit here. There we go. There we go. So that's the key page that just looks at, the economy, the financial performance of the district. Institutional framework is how Montana scores in general, your leverage, and then if there's any notching factor. So the one I'd like to highlight is your financial performance, which it's the main one that you have in your control, and that's the category higher than your rating ended up at A1. So the financial performance, again, kudos to Janelle and the entire team that they look at, available fund balance ratio, that's available fund balance to operating revenue, and net cash ratio, net cash to operating revenue. So on those measures, really the only item there that you can clearly control, you're in the next highest category. So great job. Any questions on that Moody's report?
Just, this is a somewhat pedestrian question, but just so I'm clear. So the bonds go on sale. Well, the batch that we're selling first, the high school bonds go on sale on Thursday, this coming Thursday.
Right.
How long do you think it'll take before they're all sold?
Yeah, so we had the meeting on Monday. We expect to have right away in the morning, we'll release the opportunity to buy bonds. They'll be sold by noon that day. There might be a little carryover, there often is, but we'll have the majority sold that morning.
Thank you. And just a follow-up question, just one, and I'll get you.
Can you tell us again, I think, was it Mark mentioned, Montana, sometimes you have smaller bonds, so it can be hard to sell, but he talked about the size of our bonds and how that would help.
Yes, so we're going to sell these bonds to a plethora of different types of investors, individual investors in $5,000 increments that are maybe saving for a college, education plan for their children or retirement, banks, local banks and banks statewide and nationally, and then also the big institutional investors like a State Farm Insurance or Travelers Insurance or big mutual fund companies that hold these bonds in their investment portfolios for their clients. So we're going to tap all of those different resources. But our smaller bonds in Montana just don't get the national attention that this bond issue will. So, nationally, it's going to be known that the bonds are available for purchase. And we actually find that our Montana bonds that are larger in size, like when we sold the Gallatin High School bonds or Billings once did a decade ago, they improved every single elementary district or every single elementary building and built two new middle schools. And your bonds that you guys did in 2019 for your projects for the elementary, 2017 and 2019 for your elementaries, those sell better because they just, get more interest. So nationally. So we think our lead underwriter gave a little presentation to our bond finance committee on Monday, and he's very confident that we're going to have a lot of interest, a lot of eyes on the bond issue. We're going to give an update on Monday. And then another one on Wednesday, and kind of just continuing to watch where the market is. Every day the market fluctuates based on, the CPI or employment, trends and so on, and what the Fed. So we don't have another Fed meeting. We had a Fed reduction in rates in September. We're taking advantage of another reduction that the Fed made in October, and so the next meeting isn't until December, and then. But the forecast is maybe a couple of additional reductions. Those are already built into our numbers, so we're taking advantage. I think it's a positive timeline. We're also seeing inflows, people wanting to buy. Sometimes we see outflows in our market where people aren't looking for tax-free investment. They're putting their money into other investment opportunities. But right now we're seeing an inflow into municipal bonds, which that feature for us in the state of Montana is an exemption from both state and federal income tax. So having that exemption, so people that buy these bonds are going to are accepting a really low yield. So we're looking at around a 4.20 in the elementary and a 4.40 in the high school. The high school is a little higher because it's a longer term, 30 years instead of 20. We think that, we're just going to see, really good interest in the purchase of our bonds.
The very last page of the packet Bridget put together for you shows a chart here. You'll see a 110 and 20-year rate average, and you see in the last 2 months, we're starting to see a decline.
Right.
which is beneficial. CPI comes out.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out tomorrow,
Tomorrow, so
but
we're looking for that.
because the shutdown, they're waiting for, we're waiting for numbers to be released. So that's just a ripple effect from the shutdown we talked about in the meeting earlier. You did. So we are waiting for, economic releases, but I think we're going to be in the perfect place to issue our bonds. We did, move ahead as quickly as we can, again, to take advantage of Janelle's expertise in our rating meetings and our insurance meetings, so we could get that part wrapped up. And I think now, I think the timing's perfect because we're going out in front of the Thanksgiving holiday by a week. And then kind of in December, it's a little harder to get market attention because of people being out of the office. So I think it's perfect timing for us.
Trustee Armstrong.
I just wanted to share, Bridget told us the other day, so when we did our bond proposal, we had to estimate what the cost would be per $100,000 value of the house, and the financial work that we've done and kind of the market timing, it's going to be a little less. I mean, elementary, we're not asking for that much, so it's not that much less, and remember, these numbers don't go solid until we actually issue the bonds.
Yep.
But right now it's about $23 per $100,000 value less. So it's a win for the local taxpayers. And Janelle would tell me to say, and that's on your primary house.
Yeah. Good job. She's coaching all of us. Yeah, and that, so in the update that we are giving, and we'll have final numbers to, report all the good news at the December 9th meeting. But and so we're making so many projections. We're saying things like, well, if we get the same rates as we have now with our next, series of bonds, what does that mean? And, the early indications was going to be that we'd have, almost 20 million less in interest costs if we were to kind of repeat the same numbers we know now with the next series. And so I think we'll have really great things to present. We'll see what happens next week. So, and it is an unfinished picture because we do have but I think it's the perfect plan for the community because we're going to be able to lock these rates, know that we can move ahead with a project, we'll start to earn investment earnings and investment earnings are positive. Right now we're earning, I think STIP is paying like 4.2%. And so we're going to be able to earn interest on the bond proceeds that will then also be able to be used for the projects, which is positive from that perspective too.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Trustee Renan Butcher.
Thank you. Just one other thing we pointed out at our budget committee meeting today is that we would not be here without having made tough decisions. And as a new trustee, I appreciate all the work all of you have done to get us to this point. It wasn't easy, but we wouldn't be here with this type of positive outlook if we hadn't made some of those tough decisions and maintained our interlocal. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yes.
Great job. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Sell bonds, everybody.
Yeah.
I know. Pass the news. Yeah. And if people want to buy a bond, it says in that little tombstone, but basically you contact D.A. Davidson. They can contact a different advisor too if they work with another firm, but it's easier and there's no cost to setting up the purchase of a bond. It's just the cost of the bond itself. If they want to, buy a bond for 20,000, they would need the principal amount of 20,000, but there's no fees involved in purchasing a bond. So that's easy to do. Just make sure that it's an investment opportunity that fits people's portfolio needs. So that would be just the process people need to work through. That's it.
Well done.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, more good news. An update on the Helena High campus.
So typically, we'll do some of this facilities updates during my superintendent report, but remember last month I told you I was going to carve that out and make them their own items now on the agenda, so it's transparent, of course. So here's where we're at. I'm going to break them down into 3 projects, Helena High, Capitol, and Kessler. We'll do one at a time. Helena High. So it's the first one that had legs. It stood up with our professional services. We had our architect team submittals. We went through the process of all submittals. We narrowed it down to 3 firms. We got a short list of 3 firms to notify them that they need to come back a week later. We interviewed at that time, and then that following Friday, I believe, was a special board meeting, and you approved A&E SMA architect firm for the Helen High campus. And I want to remind you, as it looks underneath there, number 2, Helen High campus update. We're looking through a comprehensive Helena High School, a new build project for alternative learning, PAL, district kitchen, and competition stadium. So there's a lot going on that campus. Right now, as many days as A&E and SMA have been on the job, doing the work, they've had that many meetings. So I believe, as Mr. Kessler was here, we've had probably 14 to 15 staff meetings at Helena High working through just design concepts with their staff. And I understand it's going really well. So things are moving forward there. They're planning on site visits and chartering a bus and getting staff members out to see other districts and other newer schools that have been under construction or nearly constructed. So that's being planned. So a lot of good energy coming out of Helena High. And with the building of A&E and SMA together, that workhorse, they're really excited as a team, a local firm, in the project design. So we're looking forward to more out of that. I will not be the one doing all the updates because once we get all our professional teams on board, they will be here. That's a mandate from me. That's from us, is that there's going to be a representative from each one of the projects that will come and present their updates. So I'm just kicking this off. Quite frankly, A&E and SMA, as they merged, the very first day they've ever had all their employees under one roof, and that was down in Bozeman, and a big come together. And so I think there's over 150 employees just in their merger, and they're pretty excited about the opportunity for all of their employees to support our efforts up here. So then I'll leave that alone. That's the update for the Helena High campus. Questions?
I feel like I know the answer, but I just wanted to clarify because I've had people ask it, and there are students at Helena High. So full disclosure, the order of operations would be build the school, knock down the old school, then build the stadium. So this is not all going to happen at once.
Yeah, part of, as Bridget mentioned, so we have some milestones, right? So fall of 2028, kids are in buildings, right? So 3 years from now, in 2028, we will have kids in our buildings. Our owner's rep, Holting Inc., Shane Swaddell, is determined to be on time, on budget, students in buildings on fall of 2028, right? For all our projects. Kessler maybe a little earlier, teaser. But that means that we're going to build a new comp high school to the east side of current Helena High, connected to the current gym. Maybe one wing may have to come offline, but that's a high-end specialty wing of art and kilns. And so we got to work through all this, right? But students and staff won't enter that building until the 2028 year. The stadium's projected to go, though, those are spatial concepts for assessing volume and square feet, which equates to dollars, like how much are we going to ask for? But we know that we had projected the stadium to sit on the footprint of where the old Helena High sits today.
Okay. Yep.
That's right. So we're not going to build a stadium until a comprehensive stadium until old Helena High comes offline, right? So that has to come down. There are prep work around that. Civil begins, right? And then the foundations of the supporting stadium. So that's a 5-year process. And part of what Bridget had mentioned, that we're going to do 3 series of bonds in the high school district. There's time limits on when you sell a bond and when you have to use it. If we get them all up front, we will run out of time in the back end of the project. So we will series them out in accordance with the timing of the construction. Does that help?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so then down comes one building, goes to asbestos shops, it goes to landfills, it goes places.
There's no asbestos in
Yeah,
Helena, right?
we're planning for that. And then you have to build And then when it's done, then you have the dirt work, the landscaping that comes on board with that. So it most likely will be a 5-year, process.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm guessing in that last year, you can move that kiln any old place. It just has to be there for 6 months, right?
The kiln, yeah.
You can just go anywhere. You can go in a hallway.
I will say that as I go through this, I am so pleased that the amount of professionalism that we have around our architect firms in this city. We are blessed to have such high professionals that are already doing the planning, the phasing, like, okay, this got to come down, but they got to go over here and that's got to go up here and that's going to go over there. It's already being planned out in their brains of how this is going to work, even before the design's even conceptual. But we know that that process is going to take a while. I think Jenny had.
Yes, Janet.
I did have a question, not to talk about kicking Mr. Verrill out of his building, but the district kitchen, he's not even paying attention.
Yeah, he's heard it enough.
Yeah. The district kitchen, because it is at Capitol and is moving over there, what is the time frame? Is that going to be done at the same?
That's a great question. The even more important part of that question is that my team and I are committed to make sure that all of the professional teams, all the architects can sit around the table and talk about planning, because though we have multiple projects and multiple teams, we are one district, and a move on one side of town impacts the other side of town. We already started that this morning at 8 o'clock with our Capitol side of saying, this is the vision and this is how we're going to play the game. And we're going to do that with all of our architects, saying that when we move, we have to have the east side of town projects in coordination with the west side of the town projects, specifically in our high school, because our district kitchen relies on the east side in time and sync with our west side. So we understand that, our owner's rep understands that, and we're going to make sure that not only are they working in isolation, but they are going to work in unison, and we'll have structure around how that's going to look. But there's a lot of moving parts, and that's one of them.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's kind of wild. Any other questions? Yes.
Do we know when the first opportunity for public comment or public participation in the Helena High process will be?
I imagine Brock has something around that.
Supposedly there's a meeting next week, exactly next week on Tuesday. So feel free to come. I will be there. Haven't really been told why, but I will be there.
So as you asked Mr. Meldrum when he was here in approval, I think that was on Friday, you asked him a lot of questions around what's the public getting involved? How do they get involved? Where do they get involved? The first meeting, after meeting with all the 14 different departments in the time that they've spent here this last few days, they've scheduled next Tuesday, as Brock said, at 5:30 at the at Helena High, and that's called a community outreach. And so community's been invited. I think Mr. Kessler sent that out this afternoon. And so that also is going to be mimicked by the firms that are coming down the line from Capitol to Kessler. So we have equal opportunity for all of those buildings. What we don't want as a district from an administrative office is that, hey, they're doing that over there, how come we don't get to? We want to really try, though each one is unique in their efforts and in their skill set, but we want to make sure we're real consistent on how people have input. And so I don't want one side of town or one project looking vastly different than what's going on with the other projects.
Sense. Yeah. Sue Walsh.
Okay. Just trying to wrap my head around all of this information. And just kind of like what you said, making sure that we have, as much as you can, a perception of fairness between the two schools. And even when we're talking about PALS and the district kitchen. So my question is, with getting input from the community and then looking at the different designs, there were some options on where things would be placed, specifically like the district kitchen. I think facilities maybe have been in there and stuff too. So who and how are those like physical placements being approved?
So are you asking Where on the campus or where on what side of town?
No, so like the district kitchen,
Yes.
right? I think we had a couple of options on
Yeah.
what that could look like, right? Whether it was attached to Helena or if it was the separate
Correct.
building.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, and then that's its project, but Helena High is dependent on the decisions there. So,
Yes, I see where
so
you're at. Yep.
like, yeah, because the district kitchen being kind of like a mutual place, right? Not specific to Helena High. So who is making the decision on where some of those physical placements will happen when it's outside of, the specific high school?
So going back to bond language stated that the Powell Stadium and District Kitchen would sit on the campus of Helena High. SMA, right? SMA, A&E and SMA have been hired to design the Helena High campus. So the decision will be through their process of A&E and SMA to design with input from staff, community, students, admin. We were in this in the last couple of days, looking at concepts that they can bring to board for approval and bring to the community for options for input. So that is going to reside with the A&E SMA. So though it comes off, it's important that Slate, as I'll get to in a minute, that Slate's the architect firm for Capital High School. Slate, local firm, across the tracks next to Vanilla Bean. That's their office space. They're partnered with RTA and they're out of Colorado. We have met with them. I guess I'm moving right into the second part of this, is that we had a meeting with Slate this morning. We have a meeting with Slate and SMA, A&E SMA. So Slate, I'll just go back. Capital in Helena High, 2 professional teams are going to come together tomorrow, and we want to organize a handoff of understanding of pre-bond work, of where things are why the decisions were made, how the budgets were generated, and so that we'll have as seamless as it can be, increased communication between the two, that they need to work together through the process. This is the decision of A&E SMA where all that fits on that campus, but they have to have input from Slate and the Capital campus to make sure that we're doing it on time. That we can't tear a building down there and say, oh, I forgot the other side, I forgot to build a district kitchen. That doesn't work. So we'll make sure that we're coordinating those efforts. And then the same thing, I want to make sure that when we pick Kessler professional team, that they also have a handoff, that me and my team and I have a conversation with the Kessler team about expectations of what it looks like around community input, staff input, student input, communication expectations. And then the next meeting will be with the Kessler professional team and SMA, so we can have a handoff from pre-bond work to construction work.
So then once we have, it sounds like there might be, we'll get the input, we'll get the feedback. It sounds like they might draw up a couple of options of what it could look like, or is it really they just take all of that and put it together and kind of present?
No, there will be option A, B, C, back to A plus B, B and C and D, and then we heard another one today, just a crazy idea. We'll just throw that one at you too, just because. So we're going to have lots of opportunity for input in moving. So what they won't do, Trustee Walsh, is they're not going to come to us with one drawing and say, here it is. It just won't happen.
But I'm still trying to learn. I was really kind of already past when the 3 elementaries had started building and all of that stuff. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around some of the bond stuff, not being a finance person. It gets a little bit confusing. But once we have those options, who is the team that's going to make the absolute final decision of which one is moving forward?
It'll always come back to the board. It's a board decision. That we'll present the recommendation from a myriad of stakeholders, input, data points, and then SMA will come and say, here's where we've landed, and it won't be your first time seeing it, right? You'll work through this process as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yes, Trustee Armstrong.
It was interesting today was we were talking about enrollment and the different programs and expanding the programs. It kind of ties into the design process as well. Like in Kessler, you're talking about we've expanded Kinder Sprouts and we've expanded Montessori, and how could we use a brand new, bigger facility to make sure that we are future planning to expand our opportunities. So it's really kind of interesting how all the things that we've talked about kind of separately are all coming together into the vision of what do we want for the future.
On a side note, I still remember Trustee Armstrong going, how do all these balls balance? I don't understand how this is coming together. And here we are.
I think I know the answer, but I mean, I was a parent volunteer during the elementary bond, and there were lots of, specifically I was involved in the central conversation. So there was a lot, all the community interest about just the various populations that Central serves and the neighborhood that it sits in and so on and so forth. And high schools are a little different because they're on a giant campus and they're not like in a cozy little neighborhood. But there's so many different audiences that are going to deal with Helena High in particular. I mean, you've got the district kitchen, just shipping is probably part of it. And then PAL, that's a very unique situation. And then just trying to imagine a future of high school and CTE and all the things. And then plus the stadium, that's sort of everybody. When and how, as succinctly as possible, do all of those people like participate in the process? Or would that be, we don't need to know that right now. We just know that it's going to happen.
It's already happening.
It is, okay.
Yeah, so SMA, like I said, been engaged in 14 meetings, 15 meetings to this point. They've been with PAL. So we're obviously starting there. Robert Worthy's been most of those meetings with us, him and his assistant. So we have that. We understand that there's so much in the pre-information stage of that. Robert in the district kitchen has warming trucks that are leaving constantly. We have 18-wheel, 40-foot containers that are coming in, backing in to an area. We got to make sure the congestion of the food traffic's not interfering with the stadium and/or student parking traffic, and so that's going on. You have a PAL building that has to have it. We really want to have its own identity, and so where does that go? You have a CTE building that's going to inherently love CTE, but it's going to have a couple of cars parked upside down with the tires pulled off of it. Is that really what you want on your curb appeal, right? You're going to have stockpiles of metal laying around. So strategically making sure that it's in an environment that's not the first thing you see as you roll into a brand new school. And not to say it's any more or less important, it's just the nature of trying to make sure that your building is put together and organized in a fashion that's going to be appealing and functional. And then on top of all that, we want to make sure that we're not moving kids in and out and transferring out 8 times a day with 1,000 kids moving in and out of a building. So all of that has to be played into, and it's being talked about. I mean, they've been on the job 10 days probably. We've already kind of we've gone through that, and there will be time for all of that to take place with the trustees, with the parents, faculty, and students.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Are we on?
So that was Helena High, and I kind of blended into the capital update. I'll run back to the capital.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, did we approve slate last Friday? I'm trying to keep my, yeah. So we went through the same process as Helena High. We went with the capital project. We had submissions. It soaked for 3 weeks. I want to say we had 7. Don't quote me on that. Fact checked is going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 firms that applied for the capital project. We screened down to 3. We had a short list. We asked them to come back a week later. We interviewed. We selected through the firm. Our team was 7 members. We selected Slate architect firm here in town. They partner with. Facebook is incredible that they're like Slate looks like they're from Colorado. They are not. SMA is local. Slate is local. Slate partnered with, and a lot of our smaller professional teams in town will partner with outside agencies that have more volume. They just build more schools, and so they find experts from other places. It'd be Portland, Seattle, Spokane, Colorado, all over that have a lot of opportunity to build, and so they partner with each other to bring the best possible team. And Slate has done that with a firm out of Colorado, and it's RTA, and we met with them this morning. So the update on capital is Slate was selected last Friday. We asked them to be at Capital Yeah, was that yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. So we asked them to be at Capitol. I wanted not to do an email saying, hey, by the way, here's Slate. This is what they look like. They'll be coming to see you pretty soon. We didn't want to do it that way. We asked them to be in person, and we had Mr. Zanto pull all of his staff members together, and that took place at noon. That was the best time to get a staff. So we physically did a handoff. Here's your introductions. This is who they are. This is what they believe in. And here's what you're going to expect next. They're going to be in your building starting tomorrow. So they hired on Friday, introduced them on Monday. They're in the buildings. They were in the buildings today. They were in our office today, and they're going to continue to start doing their work. This is not a marathon, it's a sprint, right? We've got to start moving. We don't have time to waste. So that's where Slate is, and that's the update on Capitol. They are day 3 and they're already moving, right? That's the update to Capitol High School. More to come, and then I'll just move right into, we can ask questions on the second part of this. Then I'll move into Kessler. Kessler was soaked for submissions for 3 weeks or standard. They were due yesterday at the district office. We had 6 submissions for Kessler professional development team or architects. We screened out with our 7 different team members, and remember the team members are some administrators from the district office, the building principal, and I try to get 2 trustees. Sometimes trustees can't make it because they work, you guys work, and so we'll backfill that in with someone else or someone from the district. And so we met our quota on the 7 per requirements from our owner's rep. And so we screened out 6 today. We have a short list of 3. Those short list of 3 have been notified tonight that we want to see them next Tuesday. We will interview next Tuesday, and we will hire that Friday. I will recommend to you for approval hire on that Friday. So Kessler is en route to have a professional development team or a professional design team, as known as architects. Then, if you feel like you've been left out, I'm going to put you on another committee because we're going to come right back, Mr. Meyer, and we're going to start in on the GCCMs for Helena High School. So we'll start the construction managers, and I think Candace has that put together. I believe it's the 4th aspect of the update, but Candace has done a remarkable job of listing every committee that's going to come in for the GCCM. So you'll see that before you. That's the Helena High, the timeline, the members of it, when the notice, second notice, when it's due, when we're screening, when we're interviewing, and when we're going to approve. So those are before you. I think I told you had 13 board meetings before December. I think we have 19 by the end of the year. So let's calibrate, fact check that. Before winter break, we right now have 5 board meetings. That's in a month. 5 board meetings in the next month. And then another handful up through February to get through the GCCMs. And then we get back on a more normal schedule in March, April, May. So it's going to be busy December, January, part of February. And then we'll get back into this 2 board meetings a month instead of 3 or 4.
Amazing.
There's the update for projects. And again, once we get all of our architect firms on, they have guaranteed that they'll have people representing where they're at, what in the process here at the board meeting.
Yes, Trustee Armstrong.
I will note that last month you did say mid-December that I would slow down, and now we're in February.
It slows down with the architect teams. It does slow down in mid-December because you have a little bit of break called winter.
Mm-hmm.
Then we pick right back up again.
Let's just keep doing it until daylight savings time.
I don't know if I could stand.
I mean, for the benefit of those in the audience, this is our upcoming meetings, and there's 3 slashes in the headline. There's like 3 different categories of meetings. One of them is a special meeting because those are special.
Ms. Candace, did you send the progress reports to trustees from SMA? Okay, we can start doing that, yeah. So SMA is one of the things we've asked for is that Carly, their project information director there, she puts together progress report weekly, and we are receiving those, and we will start making sure that you get those as well.
Thank you. Anything else from anybody else? Anything else? Was there more updates?
No.
Surely there's more updates. All right. Whew. Moving on to reports. Student reps. How you guys doing? Who wants to go first? Student Rep Lynch.
Alrighty, so this week at Capitol is Rock Your Mocks Week. So that means there's designated dress-up days each week to celebrate tribal history and tribal diversity. Yesterday we wore red, I believe today's orange. And then the CHS Drama Department has been working hard on their show, The Mouse That Roared. There are shows this week, November 13th through the 15th. Curtain is at 6 and the doors open at 5:30. Tickets can be purchased both at the door and online. The CHS Counseling Department is once again sponsoring a Bruin Pantry food drive for CHS families for the upcoming holiday break, as well as daily needs. For the past several years, CHS has distributed prepaid grocery-only gift cards to CHS families over long school breaks. And due to generous donations, they've been able to provide 48 Vans gift cards to families during the 2024 Thanksgiving and Christmas break. This year, they hope to gather donations to maintain our pantry on a daily basis and provide gift cards for the holidays. The goals for this year have changed a little bit, as we've seen more of a need for snacks in the classroom on a daily basis for students in need. Obviously, that's more convenient and a little bit more discreet. So they are going to be providing snacks for students in need and then provide weekend packs for students in need as well, while also hoping to meet or exceed the goal of 48 grocery-only gift cards. 48. As Superintendent Welts mentioned, the Slate and RTA architects met with Capitol High staff yesterday at lunchtime, and then they will highlight the next steps and kind of how staff will be able to provide input in the design of the school and what's that going to look for them. We recently hosted the State Special Olympics basketball tournament. So this is a 3-on-3 basketball game that was held at CHS last Friday and Saturday. CHS students often watch this event periodically throughout the day, and this year Principal Zanto received a message from one of the tournament volunteers that read, "Oh my heart, your student section at the Special Olympics Games may be one of the most special things I've ever seen. It's ridiculously cool. Science, cheers, chants, and encouraging both teams. It's awesome." We also had a staff meeting last week. So our administration hosted a staff meeting to review the cell phone policy and to review disciplinary literacy. So PLC teams are encouraged to focus on current disciplinary literacy practices occurring in their classroom. And they're also focusing on the MAP data, which is the standardized testing that we use at Capitol. Last Monday, freshman and sophomore teachers also received professional development on the various resources found within the MAP testing site. As you all know, we completed our Cognia external review on October 20th. So these review members visited our school. Principal Zanto gave a principal's presentation, and visitors interviewed various staff, students, and parents. And over 40 classrooms were also observed. On this day, the Montana State Cognia Accreditation Director sent the following email to OPI state leaders and Cognia accredited school leaders that CHS made history as Cognia accreditation efforts are now more closely linked to OPI standards. The email reads as follows: "History is being made today. After 30 years in the making, we have our first on-site review today with a team comprised of Montana Office of Public Instruction personnel, our lead evaluator, and several other local administrators. The on-site has already started at Helena Capitol High School and represents our inaugural school in this new protocol. Congratulations to Principal Zanto and Helena Superintendent Welts for having the vision to be the first in the state to move forward with this alternative protocol." So we are anxiously awaiting the results, both positive and areas of improvement of that report, and we'll be sure to share both.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Student Rep Lynch? I actually had one when you were talking about the food pantry. How is it? Is it well used?
I am not quite sure about that. I do know that a lot of our teachers have been making an effort to provide snacks in their classroom, and a lot of those teachers do pay for those snacks out of their own paychecks and take care of kids in that way. So I know specifically Mr. Caffrey, he kind of has like a back room in his room that just has boxes of snacks. So super discreet. Kids can just pop in there, grab what they need, and leave, no questions asked. So I think that is kind of a similar what happens in our Bruin pantry. I would say it's pretty frequently used just based off of how much Caffrey's is used just as one teacher and how much he replenishes. So I would say yes, it's pretty heavily.
Thank you. It's really cool. It's really
It
cool
is
that you
really
guys do that.
I suspect you'll hear the same thing from Brock around that discreteness.
Yeah, we're actually still figuring out ours. It's more new than, at least to my knowledge, is what I'm hearing. I have a job in the office, so I'm sort of hearing about a little more updates on that. They're still trying to figure out how they're running our like little supply closet. Like they were thinking about like, well, this is still like up in the air and stuff, but possibly having like NHS students like working there and getting hours. However, at the same time, like some people, they're worried about some people feeling nervous that like they're gonna have like fellow peers in there. So we're still like figuring out some kinks and stuff, but Mr. Kessler would have a better idea than I would on that. I'm still not even sure where it's located, but
So I'll tell you a little bit about on the Helena High side, similar concerns. Ms. Farrell, Todd's wife, as an employee there in mental health support. In her office, there's always been food, cheese sticks and granola bars and what, but they've expanded that to having Purview purchased a big cooler, and now we're getting a freezer, and so we're going to be able to stock with perishable items. That brings on safe foods certification, so we'll have to get through that and inspected. But it is an area where we are not asking questions. The only thing we may ask, or they're asking, is that what you're taking out, so we know how many pounds of food is leaving, but not what you're taking and why you're taking it. It's just we want to know how much is in volumes coming out. So Brock is correct. They are experimenting with the best way, but right now we know that it's the convenient food that we hear about from Helena High and Capital. That's the Crustables. Things are very easy to make versus Helena High staff, 2 members, took some students to food share, and they just didn't know, they weren't comfortable. And they're not ready to crack cans and cook a full meal. So it's a different need when you go to food share versus what you might get in one of the pantries in Caffrey's room or others, where it's a Crustable, it's peanut butter and jelly, it's a can of or cup of noodles. Now those are the things that kids are looking for. It can be in your backpack and it's discreet walking out. That's what we're working through.
yeah. And I just want to add, I'll probably talk about this a little bit in my student report, but with like all the issues around food right now, it's like horrible what's going on. However, I'm really proud that like at our school, like a bunch of the students and like groups are coming together. I'm president of Link Club, and then I'm vice president of HOSA. And for both of those clubs, we presented different ways on how like we're gonna provide food to different families. Like for Link, we're gonna do like a little bit of like a trick or treat reverse sort of thing and go to houses and try and go ask for food and stuff and bring that. And we're still trying to figure out where we want to bring it to, but we could bring it to like DECA, which I'm also involved with, where they make baskets for families and stuff, or the pantries, or right now there's a competition of like our 3 principals lined out with their faces on a box, and whoever gets the most donated in their box has the most time in detention. So it's just, we've had a bunch of different opportunities of ways we can provide food and stuff, and it's just really brought us all together, and it's really cool to see. But yeah.
Yeah, I would add to that quickly and say that I think people are really willing to help. There's definitely not a shortage of students willing to help, but I can foresee that the privacy aspect and the discretion aspect is a problem, because you don't necessarily want your HOSA club or your NHS stocking the food pantry when kids are trying to go in there just to preserve their privacy a little bit. So I can definitely see how that would be a bit of a challenge in terms of delivering and really making a direct impact without making a direct impact in a sense.
I think our staff's finding that what's working best at this moment is opening those pantries up at the end of the school day, and with minimal transitions of people in and out of it. So that right now seems to be the most sensible way, but we need to search through that a little bit more to see how we can do it that's a little more user friendly.
How do the students know that it's available and where to go and how to find it?
I'm assuming they're putting it on announcements. However, because like you guys know how great our sound system was, we've moved to using telephones at our school now, like like the little phones you have in the classroom. So we have announcements on the phones, and to put it in the nicest terms, my class isn't the quietest during the announcement time, so I personally cannot hear it. However, I think that's what they were saying was going to be put out on. So I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, I think as far as our school goes, our counseling department is really on top of it. So I think that to the students that it would make the most impact on, that has definitely been presented to them. Now you don't, and I don't think that it necessarily has been presented to the school at large, but I think for the students it impacts the most, they've been directly contacted about that. And then our teachers just make it a welcome place.
I concur with Delaney. Counselors at Helena High, we have one that's very instrumental in setting up the pantry with Miss Verrill. And then as I've spent time with a lot of high school kids, when they need to know, they know. Right? Their underground communication system is far better than anything that we can put together. And when there's support and resources around a need for a student, they're going to know about it. So I don't underestimate the power of them informing each other. Hey, did you hear about? Do you know there's snacks over here? There's going to be although I don't think it's not an official way to communicate, but I do know that they know, and they know how to tell each other it.
I've got one more food pantry question. On the Helena High pantry with the freezer and a refrigerator, is the thinking that it would be like you can grab like dinner ingredients on your way out the door, or is it like, no, you can have like, sandwiches that need to be refrigerated?
It might be a combination of both. I think like right now with the holidays coming by, like we're focusing on like trying to get people meals and stuff. So like, I don't know if they're like sending out packages and stuff and putting like snacks more towards in the closet and sort of like those smaller things. However, I think it'll be interesting to see like after like we have like Thanksgiving and Christmas, like what we supply our closet with. But I personally need to check it out myself and see like what they're doing as well. So I'll talk to Kessler about that.
Right now it's turkeys for the freezer, but think about the perishables. All right, so if you go through a non-perishable opportunity, granola bars, candy, whatever that might look like, but what you don't get is cheese sticks and yogurt and a gallon of milk or a half a gallon of milk, and that means a lot because then we have a box of cereal over here. You're going to take home a box of cereal, you're going to eat it dry, and so the perishable pieces of the coolers are really important. Cheese sticks are huge, and we can't keep them if we don't have a cooler. So I do believe when we move away from the holiday seasons, you're going to see more perishable items that kids like to pick up and eat. Cup of yogurt, lots of cheese, half gallons of milk, stuff like that. Butter, if you're going to cook a box of macaroni and cheese, right, you're going to need a little butter and a little bit of milk. Otherwise, you're doing water. So just something that adds a little bit more. It's so much easier than purchasing it or going to the food share for that.
Yeah, and I like how you have the variety because, yeah, you're also people that have the equipment or the stove to heat food, but also the people that don't. Just covering all the bases of different types of individual and family situations. So I just really want to reiterate how much I appreciate what our leadership has done, all the things you put together, and what our students are doing and our staff. Because you guys just keep stepping up, and the need keeps increasing. So I just want to give you all a shout out. Thank you.
All right. Brock, you're up.
All right. So, hi everyone. I hope you all been doing well since we last met. At Helena High School, we have been incredibly busy. First off, our Bengal Buddies program has been working to get kids excited about being a Bengal and the excitement around graduating. Some things they have done so far are doing like an egg lab in culinary, having spooky stations during Halloween with like different activities or games, or the Helena High School students sharing their favorite childhood stories. And that was our AP literature class. So hopefully not too advanced, but something good that they can understand. On November 7th, our HOSA members went out to Special Olympics to the dance, and we volunteered there, basically informing them like, hey, what's healthy and what's not. for like drinks, food, different activities. For me, it was really fun. We had like a row of like, gosh, like 10 plus drinks, and you have like the cup of sugar in front of it and the amount labeled on it, and you're like, okay, so we have a Pepsi here, and we have a little Body Armor over here. Which one's healthier? And the amount of people that got that wrong would be very surprising to you guys. So I think it was really awesome to have that there and just inform them a little bit about making good choices, but also having fun. It was a huge turnout. If you go to the Helena High HOSA social page, you can just see how many people attended. It was crazy, and it looked like a lot of fun, but we had to sit at the table, so um uh um um this month is also Native American Heritage Month, and so as Delaney said, we also have like our dressing up, and is it similar or the same? Like, do you know like if we're doing like the same type of thing? Because that sounds similar to, yeah. I was like, that sounds like what we did. Uh, basically we do that so we can honor like the history and the native tribes around us, and it's just super cool that we're able to do that. And the people who put it on are some really cool people, and I've gone to meet them, and they've offered me a lot, even though the most native thing about me is my last name. Helena High has also been working hard to receive donations so that people have plenty to eat, like we were talking about. Not only that, but we've been working on filling our Bengal closet, which provides free clothing for anyone who goes in. It's like a little store, and it is so packed in there. Oh my gosh. Another thing my Link Club is about to do is we're about to help hang up and like take out clothes. Our advisor for Link just got a huge bunch of donations from a clothing store in Helena, and so we're about to go help and take that out. And it's awesome that students are able to get some nicer clothes and stuff. So just another cool opportunity we have. And again, like what I was saying, our food drive with the 3 principals, I'm really hoping Mr. Kessler has to stay in detention. I think everyone wants it to, but he said he was working hard to make sure the other principals get it. So I don't know. We'll see. Another project, food pantry. God, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to skip around. I'm like trying not to repeat as much as possible. Yeah. Oh, it says there was toiletries also in the pantry, so also cool, interesting to see. Now I'd like to move on to the recognition of our amazing members we have at Helena High School. I'd like to start off by congratulating the girls soccer team who won the AA conference. I'm super excited to see how they've grown, especially because the majority of them aren't even seniors. A lot of them are freshmen and sophomores. So in the next coming years, I'm expecting them to do very well. Along with that, our cross country boys finished second at state, and cross country girls finished third. Also, our golf did a great job at the AA divisional meet where they placed second. For Veterans Day, I'd like to thank Mr. Bellevue, Mr. Schulte, and Mr. Spencer for their service. They are amazing people, and we really appreciate them. Finally, for my last recognition, I'd like to thank all the clubs who came out and participated in the Halloween event we put on. It was an amazing event we put on where all the clubs came together, and we decided that they could either put up a booth and play games, or they could put up a table and do trick-or-treating. And we also had a hallway dedicated like scariness. I guess it kind of depended. It was a different experience for most. When I walked in, they just kind of sat there. When my little like 4 or 5-year-old cousin went in, he got jumped at and scared. Then he might have had a little bit of nightmares. So different experience, but other than that, it was really fun. We had about 1,000 people come. About 300 and some kids. It got really chaotic. We weren't expecting that amount of people. My group brought 60 pumpkins to paint. We ran out in less than an hour. And then from there, we bought 30 pumpkins and ran out with them in less than 30 minutes. So we found some paper in a classroom and resorted to painting pictures. But it was super cool. We had a lot of clubs participate, and the gym was packed with different games and stuff like musical chairs, human foosball, pumpkin painting, face painting. You had potato sack racing. It was just such a cool experience to have, and it's something similar to like a science circus when I was little, and I've never been able to do like this Halloween event when I was little, so I was really excited for students to come and try this out. But yeah, big success, and good to see what they need for next year so that they don't run out of their 60 pumpkins. And finally, I'd like to invite you all to our fall play called The Games Afoot on Thursday or Friday at 6:30, and to join us on Thursday, November 20th for our next donut handout day, which I'm excited for.
Thank you. And I say we've got the best student reps in the state. I will hold our student reps up to any other student rep. Any questions for Mr. Gardapi? Congratulations on that Halloween event. Sounds totally awesome. And I just love the idea of you guys like leaving mid-event to go buy more pumpkins, like just
Hold on.
filling up some used car with pumpkins. I'm into it.
So we did not leave. We had like 5 members. 2 of them were doing a trick or treat table. We got some candy donated by Albertsons. It was really cool. I'm pretty sure like almost all the tables ran up of candy by the end. But for our pumpkins, we were like, oh my gosh, what are we doing and stuff. Like I'm running over to my parents and stuff, and my aunt and my cousins. I'm like, we just ran out of pumpkins. I'm like, do you guys know what to do and stuff? They're like, no, like just grab some paper and stuff, which we did. It worked out fine for some. Others did not want to partake, but understandable. And then we started calling parents and stuff, so we got 30 pumpkins from like a parent, which was really awesome to get. But
You called in
again,
a pumpkin. You dialed in a pumpkin.
we
I
dialed in a
love
pumpkin.
it. Even better. There is no Helena Education Association report, but if there were, it would be really positive. Um,
We'll tell Jane that.
I told her I was going to say that. As you can see, she left. Total confidence. Facilities and Technology Committee report.
All right, we met yesterday. A lot of robust reporting. So technology was really fun because Gary introduced his entire staff, and I'm just gonna go through all the things that they do. And it's amazing. So first of all, not including Gary, there's 12 people. And these are some of the things that they do. Organizing staff orientation, managing the office, maintaining network infrastructure, a systems analytics, software support, access doors and fobs, controls, videos, copiers, email maintenance, organizing and managing PowerSchool, working on Chromebooks, enrolling students in Chromebooks, students support in software, projectors, Chrome carts, construction support, audio and video support, and more. So, but the most amazing one, I'm sure maybe to me, maybe not to someone who actually works in the department, but they're also in charge of state reporting, OPI. I've had to do this once in my life, and took me months and months and months. So I'm very impressed. A woman named Maya Elliott not only did the state reporting with OPI, but she found problems with the reporting system, rewrote it with OPI so that other schools didn't have to go through the torture that she had to go through. So, you know, they're amazing, but I'm just going to flip this right into my MTSBA report, which is basically nothing but working really hard to get tech out of the levy field. You know, I think when it first started, it made sense because maybe there were a few extra computers that the community could support, but now it's just the way that we operate. So hopefully, I think this is an indication that this is not something that should be put up for a local vote. This is something that needs to happen. All right, moving right along to facilities. In the last 30 days, Bryant Boiler has been flue repairs, CR Anderson parking adjustments, Vigilante Stadium has had fencing upgrades, HMS has had sidewalk repairs, sprinkler blowouts. It takes a whole month to blow out the sprinklers. That's how many we have. Current projects, interior painting. People always wonder why we're painting inside during the winter, where we have painters on staff, so they paint outside in the summer. And even though those of us that have worked in the district, it's a real pain to move your whole classroom out and teach in the library for a week. They do a beautiful job, and that's the way that we can do it the most efficiently. They're getting ready for winter with snow equipment prep. Smith Elementary has a boiler project as well as a solar design going on. They're working on coordination already for the 2026 graduation. Amoresco performance lighting, we've had a couple presentations that is ongoing. Central Elementary has a bit of an erosion issue on the south side that is being addressed. There's a north exit that for some reason isn't paved, had some gravel, so they're updating that, which I think is interesting to note that even though the schools are new, we're keeping them up and they need maintenance right away, and kudos to the team for keeping up on that. Good news, 100% staffed on the maintenance side. However, there are still 7 vacancies on the custodial side, and it was shared that, kind of 2 go away, 3 come in, just sort of a revolving door, but they're working hard to keep those positions installed. Some of the custodial projects, HHS had a carpet installed in their podcast room. A lot of work went into the Special Olympics at CHS, HHS, CRA, HMS, 4Gs, Bryant, Central, and Jim Darcy. There's also been fire marshal inspections that are, many have been completed, but they're still working on some corrective actions that were identified. They're coordinating with Montana DES for seismic assessments. And that is it. Plenty, right?
That is plenty. That's all right. Budget and finance. Nothing going on there, right?
It's all dandy right now was the basic gist of the report. There were a few little areas, and high school is completely dandy. A few little areas in elementary, and we kind of hit on it. One of them was technical salaries, because we don't have enough custodial people, so we have to pay people overtime, and you don't plan for that, right up front. Also, there was some para cost, and it's because we plan for general paras, but we have special education paras. And then some of it is just encumbered, but we may not actually fill those. That was the main thing. Superintendent Wells doing a very good job of not spending out of the interlocal before we issue our bonds. So that is positive news for us and the taxpayer. And then we went over really all the rest of the bond issue. So there's no questions. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions? I love hearing that a budget is dandy. That's going in my gratitude journal, Trustee Armstrong. Teaching and learning, Trustee Moran Butcher.
We have not met since last time. We're meeting tomorrow. I did preview the agenda. We get to finally see the MAST results. So I'll have well, actually, probably Siobhan will have a report for you next time, because I will probably be on maternity leave.
I can do that.
Very exciting stuff.
That is exciting stuff. Maybe I might listen in. Policy committee.
So we didn't actually meet. We had to kind of a last minute cancellation. So we'll give you an update the next time.
All right. Thank you. Health benefits committee. Is that I'm guessing Treasury Satry. All right. Well, we'll catch up with that next time. They're always doing something. It's an awesome committee. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to sit in. It's large and they're very competent. The wellness committee report.
I can do that one.
Oh.
No, yeah.
Oh.
I got it. Feel free to jump in, Linda. So one of the big pieces of news is that the district is working with St. Peter's Health and Helena Food Share to apply for a farm to school grant, which could help continue to fund Harvest of the Month. There's been a little bit up in the air of if we'll continue to receive funding. And of course, there's still up in the air of the grant report and things with the federal shutdown, but they're working very hard on that grant application right now. And we were brainstorming ways we could branch out things that are already being done with Harvest of the Month to other areas, potentially at the middle school or functional life skills classroom or different things that way. We also had, of course, a lot of discussion around what we've talked about today with increased need and ways that we can support students. And we're really lucky that we have such great partners at the table. One thing I did want to mention is we are so grateful to the Helena community for everything they're doing to support our students, but they did mention that we want to make sure that we're still talking about the impact and advocating for these programs to come back, right? Just because we have had incredible community support doesn't mean that things like SNAP are not very needed. And so there were some discussions of some advocacy opportunities, including when Governor Gianforte visits the food share, maybe having a district representative there to share information about our increased needs we've seen, that sort of thing. And so just opportunities in general to advocate, either sending messages to the governor's office or other things that might come up that these programs are still very needed. And the wealth of community support is extremely appreciated, but we can't expect our community to function at this level for forever, right? And then there was some planned PTA outreach as well around how PTAs could get involved with some of these efforts. So I think that's all I had. Do you have anything to add?
Kicked in about that. Shivering and hot at the same time.
Well, thank you. MTSBA, did you kind of?
Yeah, we have not met.
Okay, perfect. Parent council visits. I don't know. Did we have any? We've had kind of a meeting heavy couple of weeks.
Yeah,
We might not have added more meetings onto our meetings.
Yeah, I think that's completely understandable. You've got a lot going on right now. So if we don't get out to the community or out to the parent meetings, that can come back this spring, but you've been asked to do a lot.
Awesome. And then upcoming meetings, guys, I'm not going to list them all. Yes. Oh, yes, please, by all means.
So today was my first time. I went out to Jim Darcy for Veterans Day. Wow, they had a veteran procession and they had all these chairs out in the center and they were completely filled. I just want to highlight, like, I get my care out at the fort. I have a healthcare provider that before she even had her child, who is now 10, I've known her. It was a wonderful community opportunity to come together. We had a flag presentation of all the Cub Scouts and brownies and stuff, which was super good. The older student population sang every branch song. Air Force came last as best, but it was, obviously it was like whole school involvement. The music teachers and the kids worked on all these songs. And it was really very touching. They had a slideshow. And so you saw everyone from people's parents to people's great grandparents. And then you could pick out some families that had multiple military members on both sides, and it goes back several generations. And then lastly, the kids had all this artwork they had done. They had poppies, they had colored posters, they did a lot of creative stuff all around the gym. So you could see how they took something and they implemented it in several different ways. So it was very heartwarming. And then
Absolutely.
This Friday, we have Central School has Ruby Bridges walk in the morning, if anyone is interested in that. So even though there isn't PTO, there's plenty of fun opportunities to go.
That sounds awesome. Thank you. And thanks for sharing about the Central School opportunity. Upcoming meetings, again, I'm not going to read them all, but there's 59. Put them on your calendar. Any further board and superintendent comments? I do want to
I
say,
do at the end. If
With
no one
that?
else, I will. We'll wait to see if there's any trustee comments.
the Special Olympics basketball tournament is so fabulous. It's not going to be back in Helena for what, 3 years?
Well, I don't,
It
that right?
moves, it moves
3?
around the state. It's going to Butte
Yeah.
next. It is honestly like so cool. It's just one of the coolest events of the year, and I'm so proud of everything that Helena does to put it on. The district obviously plays a massive, massive role. That dance out at the fairgrounds is bananas. And I don't mean to brag, but my nephew Quinn plays on the Billings Senior High team. They took silver.
Nice.
He's kind of a dance man, and he wasn't the only McKee making a name for himself in Helena this week. Yeah.
Good for him.
So thanks to everyone who makes that happen. Did you have something?
I did.
Yeah, jump
We
in.
good? Trustee Armstrong, Jim Darcy was phenomenal again. It's just a really great. I got a chance to sit with Janet as we watched the kids, and I think point noted that Ms. Nyman does a really fantastic job of facilitating and talking with our veterans. All the veterans sat on the floor, and this year is for the first time all the kids exited, so that it gave time to our veterans and their families to go back to the walls of the gym and see all of the work that's been done. So typically they leave and the kids leave and they really never get a chance. So I thought that was a really nice point. Policy, when we had to cancel, that was when our legal attorney had black ice in Missoula and couldn't make it. So that was one of the reasons why that made sense for us, is that she couldn't get here. Health Benefits Committee, as we talked about, those Ks not, they're completely wrapped in House Bill 332 or Bridge Alliance. That's just on their top of the radar. So they're spending a lot of time there. I misspoke when I met with Ms. Verrill that works for Indian Alliance. I thought it was Purview that donated it. It wasn't. It was Helen Indian Alliance that donated the cooler. So I wanted to get corrected there, as I got corrected 6 times on my phone. And then as Brock was talking about the closet, Delaney and I were kind of having a sidebar, which we should never do, but really around opportunity, maybe around a clothing closet at Capitol somehow to help out there. So we have some ideas. That's it.
Any other board comments? Or questions? I don't want to limit what you guys want to say.
Northern Lights is out. Just side note, there's
I-
maybe Usher, a little
I
faster.
actually I got a text from my daughter actually. So
Apparently
all right,
it's pretty
guys.
good.
Great meeting. Nice done. And this is adjourned.